On behalf of Niti Aayog, would like to thank and take the honor in welcoming our honorable member, Professor Ramesh Chan. Our honorable vice chairman will be joining soon. He is in some meeting. And representative from WFP and country director, Sri Bishop Paralji, CEO, National Railway Area Authority, Dr. Asma Halwalji, my colleague and joint secretary, who she is leading this program from the ministry, Ms. Subha Thakurji, additional director general, Dr. D.K. Yadav. You know, he's a well-known breeder, and he is driving the mission for breeding of the millets in the country. Thank you, sir. And Dr. B. Dayakar Rao, who is principal scientist and the CEO of the NutriHub from IIMR, Indian Institute of Millet Research. DG Ekriset, who is online, from Kajri, Dr. Yadav, director of the Kajri. Vice Chancellors of Anand University, Vice Chancellor of the University of Agriculture, Forestry and Solar, and the state government officers, those who are present here from Delhi, HP, UP, Haryana, Sikkim, Madhya Pradesh. And I also would like to thank all the jury members, Dr. Aravind K. Padi, Ms. Shubha Thakur, Dr. Sri Devi Annapurna Singh, Director CFTRI, Dr. Vilas Tonapi, who is former director of IIMR, Ms. Jona Kane, who is she is executive director and co-founder of Food 2030, and my co-member secretary Pradhanya Pathankar, he is heading Climate Resilient Group in WFP. I also welcome all our esteemed guests present here in person and also virtually, the print and electronic media, in particular, who will help us to carry the message of this particular event. It gives me immense pleasure to see such a vast participation from multiple departments of the center and state governments, KVKs, industry, FPO, startups, academic and research institutions, central and state agriculture universities, international organizations from ECRISAT, International Commission on Irrigation and Drainage, Food and Agriculture Organization. You know, realizing the potential of millets, Government of India has taken several initiatives and policies as the celebrating the 2018 National Year of Millets, and then gazette millets as the nutri-cereals, and following the proposal to the United Nations General Assembly to celebrate 2023 as the International Year of the Millet, and where 70 countries have pledged to engage various stakeholders for promoting the wider usage of millets and higher production and productivity of millets across the globe. Millets are not only beneficial for the consumers, but also they are very beneficial for the farmers, as they are easy to grow, require very less input, they can be grown in less fertile soils, and also climate resilient. And as we are aware that we are the biggest producer of the millets and proposer of the International Year of Millets, so it is giving us the opportunity to lead in reviving millets through scaling up and replicating the millets value chain in other countries to leverage the emerging demand from the global market. And with this background, Niti Aayog and United Nations World Food Programme, India has entered a partnership to promote the millets and its total value chain, especially for the small and marginal farmers. And today we have gathered to launch Mapping and Exchange of Good Practices initiative and unveil the web portal, which will help to exchange the good practices for mainstreaming millets in Asia and Asian African countries. And this initiative will also support the documentation of the good practices and lessons learned. And by this, we are having the opportunity of the experiences sharing amongst the Asian and African developing countries. I would like to thank all the participants of this workshop for your continued interest in promoting millets, for not for just only nutrition and food security, but also for economic growth and development of the country. I am looking forward for the live discussion and during the technical session as well as during the break. Now I would like to request my colleague from the Ministry of Agriculture, Srimati Subha Thakurji, to address the participants and discuss about some programs of the ministry, because she is leading that program. Subha.
Thank you. Honorable Professor Ramesh Chandri, Member Niti Aayog, Shri Bishau Paravuji, Representative and Country Director, World Food Programme, Dr. Ashok Dalwai, CEO, National Welfare Authority, Dr. Neelam Patel, my good friend ADG Seeds, Dr. Yadav, Dr. Rauji, DG ICRISAT, who is online, and ladies and gentlemen present here today and also online. First of all, I would like to thank Niti for giving me this opportunity uh, to be present for the launching ceremony of mapping and exchange of the good practices for millets mainstreaming in Asia and Africa. It is indeed a very good initiative, and this endeavor will surely put millets right on the map, the global map. I would just like to brief the audience here how India took this initiative and why we took the initiative of going to the UN and making a pitch for declaring the year 2023 as International Year of Millets. India produces 170 lakh ton millets, which is 80% of Asia's production and 20% of global production. In fact, we are very well poised to become the global hub for millets. So, as Neelam was mentioning that we celebrated the 2018 as National Year of Millets, and after that a number of steps were taken by the Government of India, such as including nutri-cereals as a part of the National Food Security Mission. They were declared as nutri-cereals in a gazette, and many sub-missions and seed distribution, breeder seed intervention, a lot of steps were undertaken. The millets or nutri-cereals are a very important crop. They are basically smart foods. They require less water and they can grow even in very, very harsh conditions. So it is a very good crop for climate change, to fight climate change. Also, they have many very good nutritional properties and health benefits. So most of you would be knowing this, but the earliest evidence for millets was found in the Indus civilization around 3000 BC. So it is from that time that millets are popular in this country. And so we have to bring back the glory of millets in India. As my Honourable Minister was mentioning in a recent conference of State Agriculture Ministers in Bangalore, that millets have to come back in our everyday thalis. Just as we made International Day of Yoga a big success, yoga means India. The same way millets mean India also. And every child, every citizen should know the benefit of millets and why millets is important. So this is the momentum and this is the hard task that we have ahead of us for promoting millets internationally and also in India. Traditionally, the top 5 states for millet crops are Rajasthan, where we have bajra, Karnataka, ragi, Maharashtra, ragi and jowar, Uttar Pradesh and Haryana have bajra. Though Africa has the largest area under millets, 489 lakh hectares, and production is 423 lakh tons, but India has a good productivity. We have a productivity of 1239 kg per hectare. And there is a lot of scope for cooperation between Africa and Asia and in the world for promoting these very important crops. So what did the government of India do after we went to the UN? So when this was declared in March 2021, supported by over 70 countries of the United Nations, then the government of India has formed a very high-level working group. There's a group of ministers which oversees the whole events, and the first meeting of the group of ministers was held on 12th July. So this is the kind of importance that this program has got from the government of India. And it is regularly being seen by the cabinet secretary also. We've had a lot of meetings since last year. And both ICAR and Department of Agriculture are working together in this. There is a core committee of both the departments where both the secretaries are the members of the core committee, and any decision which is taken is being taken jointly by the two secretaries. And the Indian Institute of Millet Research has been designated as nodal agency for millets for India. So anybody who wants to have any technical guidance or support should approach the Indian Institute of Millet Research. Dr. Dayapur Rao, he is the CEO of NutriHub. He is present here today. He has vast knowledge and vast experience, and he has helped many people for this endeavor. ICRISAT has been designated as the knowledge partner for India for this International Year of Millets, because ITRISAT has a lot of presence all over the world, and especially in Africa, where we can work together. And in the FAO also, a steering committee has been formed, and India is taking lead in the steering committee. And in that steering committee, the global events for FAO would be decided, and we would take it forward. So India has basically identified 7 sutras or 7 themes. Just like I was seeing in this paper, there are six themes here also, what Niti is proposing. So the first and foremost important theme which the government of India would be looking after is production and productivity. We have to work on this. Though production is 170 lakh tons, but there is a lot of scope to improve it further. Also, productivity issues are there, for which our major partner is the ICAR and IIMR. And the second sutra is nutrition and health benefits. So for nutrition and health benefits, we have identified the Ministry of Health and FSSAI to work with us, the DGHR. So they will be taking this theme forward. The third theme is value addition, processing and development. So for this value addition and processing, MEGP, the Ministry of Food Processing Industry, is playing a major role. And they have in fact recently announced a very major PLI scheme where they have included millets. So MEGP is also taking this forward. And millets is part of 20 districts under the ODOP program. So, and with those 20 districts, we are in regular touch. And we had a VC with all the 20 districts recently, MEGP and agriculture. And each district is preparing a plan for millet development according to their strength of that district, whether it be for export, for domestic consumption, or for processing. So the fourth is entrepreneurship and collective development. For entrepreneurship, Commerce Ministry is the lead ministry for this. And they work with APIDA, and APIDA is playing a big role in propagating millets around the world. Then we have the fifth theme of awareness creation, which I think is a very important theme to make millets very popular, where we have to do the branding, the labeling, and the promotion. Many small startups and companies are there, but somehow they're not getting that global recognition that these millets, that this is an Indian millet, you should eat it. That has to be globally recognized. So on that we have to work hard, and all the departments and all the state governments have to work together for this also. A very important plan for international year is the international outreach. Just as we made International Yoga Day very popular, the same way we have to make the millets, the International Year of Millets popular. The difference being that Yoga Day is one day, Year of Millets is the whole year. And the momentum has to be built from right now and carry on throughout 2023. So many events and many programs will have to be designed not only by India but by the world and by the state governments also. And the last theme is, of course, the most important, I also think, is policy intervention and mainstreaming. What policies should Government of India come up with so that millets are more popularized? I can just name one intervention which the Food Ministry took, that they took an initiative that the local millets can be distributed under the by the FCI. So that is one policy, and other policy interventions also can be thought of. So these are the 7 sutras or themes that we have. In the recent conference of the state agriculture ministers, which we had in Bangalore, where over 17 ministers had come, and the millets presentation was made there as well. It was one of the major presentations which was made. And just as we have 7 themes of Government of India, the 7 themes have to be also done similarly by the state governments, by their respective departments. So unless and until we have the cohesion of the state departments also, this program cannot be a success. So after that, after the year was announced in the United Nations, we've had a series of meetings with all the stakeholders, be it processors, be it chefs, nutritionists, be it processing industry. So everybody, we took everybody on board. We have listened to their suggestions, and we have come up with they have come up with very good ideas which need to be addressed by us. So that is going on. And in fact, 6 task forces were set up on the 7 themes which I just announced. And those task force reports have also come out, and they were headed by either ICR DPTs or additional secretaries in the ministry, and very, very good recommendations have come out of those task force reports, which will be helpful in implementation throughout the year. A very good recipe book was developed by Dr. Diyakar Rao and his team, which we showcased in the Dubai Expo. And because many people come and ask me, how do we cook millets? How do we eat millet? It's still, for some people a very, very new product. So that recipe book has come out with very, very good recipes, which are the global recipes are there, not Indian recipes, or global recipes. But he's also working on an Indian recipe book for the Indian audience also. We organized a competition on MyGov for the logo and slogan, and that logo and slogan, around 3,000 participants participated, and it's in the process of finalization. An ongoing competition is there regarding the documentary film and the best song, so that is still ongoing. The Indian Institute of Millet Research and ICR kicked off the event of millets in Hyderabad in September 21, where we presented the blueprint of the government. In that blueprint, we presented what role each department of government of India has to play, and we gave lots of activities what they would be doing. And after we presented those activities to the separate departments, 13 departments have come back to us with their specific action plans. So already 13 government of India departments have made their plans for next year, and so the awareness has really, really kicked in. And the agriculture minister had a VC with all the state agriculture ministers. He has written to all the state departments and lieutenant governors. So the whole outreach by the government has been going on for the past 6-7 months on a very, very big scale. And and of course, this meeting in NITI is also a testament to the fact that the importance that millets plays in the government today. I was mentioning the Dubai Expo. The Dubai Expo was a very, very good platform to showcase millets, because many people really didn't know what millets were. It was an eye-opener for them what millets are, and the basics were explained to them. We took a lot of startups from which was supported by Dr. Diyakar Rao, and we also took FPOs. We took the actual farmers who are producing, and they got a chance to showcase their products, and they took part in the business-to-business meetings. They took part in the startup pitch, where they could elevate, where they could ask for funds for their products. So that was a good platform. Many business-to-business meetings were held, and I think some deals were also maybe sealed in that meeting. The millets were also showcased in the Suraj Kund Mela, in the Ahar Festival of Pragati Maidan. And in the Ahar Festival, I got a very good feedback from mockers that the ready to eat and ready to cook products were very popular, and many people picked it up. So that was a good beginning, because that's the easiest way to popularize millets. We've already had this DC with 18 districts for the millets, and recently a study has been granted to the Indian Institute of Millet Research, where they will establish the health benefits of nutriceuticals. Unless and until we tell the common man why millets is important, what to eat, what are the benefits, it will not be accepted. Many things have been accepted blindly, like quinoa. Quinoa has become so popular. I don't know whether many people know what really is good about quinoa, but something like that. You have to build up the momentum for the actual health benefits of millets. And the FAO recently asked each country to name one country, one product. And for that also, we have named millets as the product to the FAO. So this is just a brief of what we've done so far. What we're going to do in the future, there will be a big global launch day event sometime in January 2023. On that date, the contours are still being worked out, but we plan to have 3 big conferences in India. A launch conference which will start with the Production and Productivity Conference, jointly organized by ICR and Agriculture. There will be a Global Chef and Nutrition Conference, and there will be one food processing conference. throughout the world, we have planned conferences. There will be one major conferences of South-South cooperation, which will be done in collaboration with IPRISAT, and three major conferences by the Ministry of Commerce in the Middle East, Europe, and USA. And on the launch day, we plan to tell all our embassies to serve millets in the embassies that day for the whole week. The External Affairs Ministry has already taken steps to include millets in their banquets which they hold either in India or abroad. So they are already including millets in their dinners and lunches. And the Indian diaspora will be given a big role. We will also try and rope in international food influencers and global ambassadors through the MEA and through other means also. So what can be done by the states? As I mentioned, we had a good meeting in Bangalore, and prior to that meeting we had a VC with all the state governments earlier this year, where where Karnataka and Orissa showcase their best practice, what they are doing for promotion of millets. They have very good models. Karnataka, I can see, is here present today, and even in this in the Bangalore conference, Orissa also made a presentation, and so learning from each other is the best way to make this product popular, and so the states can play an important role by learning from each other, and millets can be served in the midday meals. It can be so there are many ideas which the state governments can implement, and as we go along throughout the year, we will be giving more and more ideas how to do it. But students can be roped in through universities and schools, and there can be many competitions around millets, song competitions, poetry competitions, poster competitions. Like we have this mass movement of the Swachh Bharat. So we have a very good model where we can learn from what can be done. So this is some of the ideas. The railways, the Ministry of Civil Aviation has already told us that they will propagate millets on their platforms, on the railway stations, in the airports. So that is also a very good place to advertise, because many people pass through and they have time also, they can see. We are going to hold a very big chef conference in Delhi Haat on 30th, 29th, 30th July.
Shobhaji, you have a lot of useful things to share, but please conclude. Huh?
Yes.
Time. Huh? You have already taken a lot of time to conclude.
So, this is it, sir. So, I just want to invite all of you to the Delhi Haat Festival on 30th July, where we have this international, we have this chef tasting conference. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Subha. I know you are having so many things to share. With this, now I would like to request our Dr. Ashok Dalwaiji, CA, NRA. Sir.
Thank you. Yeah. Can I take? Yes. Thank you. Thank you very much, Professor Ramesh Chand, Honorable Member, Niti Aayog, Mr. Bishop Parajuli, Dr. Neelam Patel, Srimati Shubha Thakur, Dr. Dayakar Rao, Dr. Yadav, Madam Prajna, all the dear participants here in this hall, and all participants on the virtual platform. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. We, over the last 6 years, are already seeing some shoots of growth. What we saw in 2015-16, the production had come down, and we are seeing an addition of about 34% over the last 6 years. As per the data provided by the Directorate of Economics and Statistics, there has been an increase in productivity between 2015-16 till last year by 45%. This is a very good sign. And the overall output has gone up by around 35%, as I said. Now, we are certainly going to go forward with this millets now, and it has caught the imagination of everybody concerned. Since the session today is about identifying, exchanging, mapping the best practices with a view to enhancing millet production in our country, we should be very clear as to why we want to do this thing. Randomly, there will be many good reasons for us to do it. But to my mind, three very critical factors supported by another fourth factor comprise that given the climate change today and certainty of the weather extremes, we need a climate resilient crop, and millets are considered as climate resilient. However, we cannot rest with being climate resilient in intervention. We need to move towards climate smartness so that we are able to increase the supply. The second one is, given the less than adequate health status of our people, as we see nutrition related diseases like kwashiorkor, millets called nutri-cereals now are a good response. And the third one, from the perspective of equitability in our country. Today, the rain-fed farmers, who are spread over 52% of the arable land, are suffering from inequitability. The data shows that the average output of agriculture in irrigated areas is 3.1 tons per hectare, while it is 1.1 tons per hectare in rain-fed areas. And at NARA, we did make a rough calculation of investments between irrigated systems and rain-fed systems. You just can't compare. It would be almost a crime to place those data here. So obviously, if our aim is to improve the incomes of the farmers under the TFI strategy and henceforth also under the income strategy, the lowest hanging fruit is to look at farmers in the rain-fed regions. That will first result in increasing the incomes, average incomes of the country, and more importantly, to bring equitability. As it is, agriculture suffers from inequitous situation, and within the agriculture sector, the rain-fed farmers suffer from further inequitability. So we need to, these are, according to me, the four reasons why we should be promoting millets. And when we are very clear about these objectives, then the best practices from across the globe as well as from across the states within the country can be identified and prioritized. Otherwise, we are likely to have a dhobi list and reach up those windows, and which may not really yield the best of results despite our hard work. So that is one thing that I would like to say. So the slogan has to be that it's good for citizens as consumers, good for citizens as farmers, and good for Mother Earth. And all this fits well with everything else that India is now trying to do: conservation agriculture, yoga, and other people-centric approaches that government is focusing on. The second one is that whatever strategy we are going to adopt, we must keep in mind that while today we are producing around 19-odd million tons of millets, they are mostly coming from three crops. The majority comes from bajra, because almost 10 million hectares out of 17 is under bajra in our country. And then is jawar, and then is ragi. So if we confine only to these three crops, we'll be looking at 5 states: Karnataka, Maharashtra, Rajasthan, UP, and Bihar, where bajra is grown. We would have left out larger parts of the country which are equally rain-fed and which are actually behind in agriculture growth. And that's where the 6 other millets, minor millets as we call them, proso, kodo, etc., are being grown. So our strategy has to be very clear. Are we going to once again focus only on these 3 or 3 plus 6? That would then give us a roadmap right from the research and development up to the marketing strategy. Because one of the good lessons that all of us are adopting here, sir, is that the negative lesson of green revolution we are leaving behind. We are looking at value chain approach. Value chain means it has to start from R&D. And R&D has to correct itself first in favor of the millets. Whether some of the research institutions can now be rededicated towards millets. Like Hyderabad itself, there are many institutions meant for rice. But one institute looks at all the millets. So whether we can redeploy the same manpower, breeders for example, and associated technologists and scientists to start working on the millets so that we start having quick results. So that is one amendment to the value chain that we must begin with. So value chain need not start with farmers, but it should start with the research labs. The third issue is how do we reconcile and balance supply and demand? Because whatever is going today is being consumed. It's not that it's going waste. So if we are going to over-focus on demand creation and do not match it with supply, then we are likely to have a friction somewhere, and once the demand generated is not met, then we could have another problem of recreating a demand after some time. So we'll have to draw a roadmap such that we are going to balance supply and demand as correctly as possible. The fourth issue is about what is the best stimulus for increasing the production. So when we make intercrop comparisons, we hit upon two factors. One is the productivity factor, other one is the price factor. Over the last 5 years, there has been a good stimulus in terms of prices. At least in terms of MSP, there has been a huge jump, and that is being appreciated by the farmers. Now, we, according to me, must have to now focus greatly on the productivity factor. The productivity index must at least see a jump of 20 to 25%. Only then intercrop comparison will show a favorable situation. To substantiate this, today oilseeds, despite very substantial jump in the MSP and procurement also, they are still not able to catch up for the simple reason that the wheat and paddy yields are almost unmatchable. So we will have to see how both productivity as well as the price stimulus are going to synchronize and then give us a growth in the total output. And the next issue will be that the per capita consumption, of course, we will have to certainly look at. That per capita consumption of millets has come down. But why it is not going to pick up immediately? The reason, we will have to find answers to that. Whether we need to rejig the public distribution system. Because when we talk about consumption stimulus, now focusing on certain niche products will not go, it's not going to increase the volume. It might just increase the value, but not increase the volume. So we will have to focus on high volume consumption. High volume consumption of millets will come provided we are going to integrate that with the public distribution system. The states can be encouraged to mainstream them, provided we say that we can substitute wheat or paddy by the millets, and they will get the same support as they would get for the wheat and paddy. So high volume versus low volume consumption. How much after all will be consumed in a 5-star hotel? All of it will look very nice, but I think ultimately the proof of the pudding is how much volume is being picked up. So I think we must find out all sources of high volume consumption of the millets and then focus on that. And the next issue, sir, I should talk about is the focus on byproducts. In case of millets, that not just the main product which is important, the byproducts, whether it is straw or stalk or roots or all other associated things, at least can contribute 1/3 of the value to the farmer's returns. So we will have to focus on value addition to the byproducts as much as we are focusing on value addition to the main product. now that biomethanation is possible and already some pilots have been rolled out. So how the byproducts can be utilized so that the returns to the farmers increase. So along with focus on productivity, whether we can also focus on this. And related to this, according to me, is how do we promote millets as fodder? Because India is short of green fodder by at least 64%. And dry fodder also is a problem in many parts of the country. Whereas many millets are actually good as fodder. Sorghum itself has many species of fodder. So whether we can actually promote fodder, millets, not just for human consumption, though they are good as nutrition intake, but also for the animals. Because once we are going to take care of the animals, the livestock, then indirectly we are actually building the nutrition component. The per capita consumption of milk will improve, per capita consumption of meat will improve, and to that extent, ultimately, the nutrition of the people is served. So these are some of the points that I thought will highlight these things. And I would also like to place on record that National Rainfed Area Authority is working on a policy for rainfed areas. And sir, I will share with you right soon now. And when we look at that, I'm happy that yes, focus on millets will improve a lot of the rainfed area. But simultaneously, a good policy on rainfed areas will actually trigger the growth of the millets and the associated pulses and oilseeds. So I can see a virtuous cycle between a policy for rainfed areas and the policy for the millets which the government has taken upon itself. So sir, here I'll put a stop to my thoughts, and thank you very much, sir.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now I would like to request Bishop, sir, for his address.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon. Professor Ramesh Chandji, the Dr. Ashok Dalwai, CEO National Rainfed Area Authorities, and Dr. Neelam Patel, and also Srimati Subha Thakur, and all senior government officials, academics, and researchers. I'm really humble and delighted to be here and sharing some thoughts and ideas. And also to say that WFP is extremely glad to be partnering with Niti Aayog in this endeavor to map and exchange good practices. World Food Program with its offices in 84, 85 countries across the world, most of it also in Africa and Asia. I think we have an opportunity to engage and really bring that experiences here. I really want to congratulate India for this leadership. This is really commendable. It's not a small thing, because at this current time we have a threat to increasing food insecurity, rising food insecurity, threat to the Agenda 2030, and lots of challenges. So therefore, India coming through the General Assembly resolutions and also taking a leadership to promote traditional crop which used to be there, and also supporting an increased nutritional intake is really commendable. I think a lot have been said by Professor Dalwai and also Srimati Subha Thakur, and I would not repeat that, but my own personal experience use of millet in WFP program goes 40 years back. We used to have school feeding program in several countries in Southern Africa using completely sorghum. And it was really relished by them, and a lot of time, even if these countries did not produce enough, they imported sorghum and millets from US and other countries which are usually used for animal feed for that matter, or brewing. So therefore, I think finding a way to increase productivity, increase area, and introducing millet, also promoting resilient crop in this period of increasing threat to climate change is another preventive measure India is promoting. So it's not only bringing back traditional crops and nutritional element, but as Professor Dalwai said, it's safeguarding farmers in the arid area, their livelihood, their virtual living situation. So this is really commendable. Of course, the concern has been is no growth in the production of millet. Overall, staying at stagnated amount, it seems. So, but then, so with these efforts, what we are being thinking and putting forward, I really believe there would be a huge opportunity to expand it. WFP buys commodities across various countries. In fact, we're looking forward to buying millets in India for several countries in the sub-Saharan Africa, given the current food shortage and etc. But I've also noted my own personal experience traveling across India is, there is a perception of millet being an inferior food. And I think that element needs changing. And there are some states who are very aggressively promoting use of millet. Huge commendation for that. WFP has worked in Odisha to bring a best practice of millet production and system there. And they are really aggressively promoting millets. I think that is a great step. Now, when I go to Rajasthan or maybe Haryana, the consumption is less, and the perception there. This is my understanding, personal. Traveling and visiting there. So I think we need to, as a part of campaign, also increase this visibility through Bollywood or some other dignitaries. I think you mentioned about serving meal in foreign missions and etc. But we need to do that work also in India, I believe. And there is, the best thing in India we have is these various internal program like midday meal or integrated childhood program or even public distribution system. Depending on the states and the consumption and food habit, probably there could be a component added into it in terms of its promotion. The other thing is, I think there was a reference made, of course, about prices and market and etc. I'm not sure if there is enough efforts on that comparing to rice and wheat for that matter. So if we are really promoting in a big way, maybe that's an area we really need to look at it. And then the whole agri-input system, from seeds, variety to agriculture extension services, and the reference was made on research and development. I think we have the best of institutions like ICRISAT. I was recently there, and I saw a lot of work on, bringing different varieties. I think these are great steps. I mean, India is the base of these efforts already. So there could not be a better opportunity than for India to take the lead globally. And India would do a big service to the whole world, especially the developing world in terms of improving its food security. Now, a couple of other things to share is in the context of WFP program, we are promoting in multiple ways how to help production millet for a small farmer through our climate change adaptation measures. That's number one. Number two, we are also internationally looking at buying millets from India to support, promote. There are issues of concern on qualities. quality standard, lots of impurities, etc. So I think we need to work to improve on that one. And third, I think the reference made about using this as a resilience crop, and then crop with high nutritive value. These things would really go a long way, and we are very excited partnering with NITI, Ministry of Agriculture, of course, and other institutions, and work at the state level, and also to share other countries' India's experience, to join hand with India in promoting this production, consumption, as well as the best practices and adaptation methods in India. So thank you very much. I want to really sincerely congratulate India for this leadership, and including us as a partner to NITI for supporting and joining. And I think a lot can be beneficial with these efforts. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, sir. With this, now I would like to request Honorable Member, Professor Ramesh Chandler, sir, for your kind address.
Challa? You want me to speak through two mics? I don't mind. Okay. अच्छा अच्छा ठीक
बीच में कर दीजिए।
ठीक है Dr. Ashok Dalwai ji, CEO National Rainfed Area Authority, Ministry of Agriculture, Shri Ashok Prajli, representative of Bird Food Program and our partner in study on millet, Dr. Shubha Thakur, JS, Ministry of Agriculture, my colleague Dr. Neelam Patel, Dr. Yadav ji, ADG ICR, Dr. Dayakar Rao, other distinguished participants in today's symposium, those who are present in this room, and also those who have joined us online. So first of all, I really want to thank all of you for your interest in today's meeting on mapping and exchange of good practices for millet mainstreaming in Asia and Africa. I'm sure that if this kind of interest is sustained in millet, then certainly we will succeed in taking millet to the place where it deserves to be taken. This UN has declared year 2023 as International Year of Millet on the application of India. I feel that put special responsibility on India for promotion of millet, not only within India but also globally. Because if it was to be done within India, then we need to declare millet as a something on national event or give it some national status to it. The fact that we approached the UN and requested for declaring 2023 for dedicating a year to millet clearly shows that India wanted to make its good practices global good, like we have International Day of Yoga because we wanted yoga to become a international practice because it is for welfare and health, spirituality of everyone. So similarly, I think this move to bring millet to the global limelight by the part of clear thinking, where India has been playing a role of promoting Vasudevam Kutumbam. So, as I said, that this also put a special responsibility on us, and that is also taken very seriously. I found that progress on millet mission is being monitored at the level of cabinet secretary. There was a letter which came to Niti Yoga also, and different responsibilities were assigned to different departments, development department, research departments, research organizations, and also international partners, whether it is ICRISAT, FAO, or WFP. A lot has been said about millers. In fact, I have special disadvantage of sharing platform with the Shok Dalwaiji. So both of us being from background of agriculture economics, generally there are same kind of things, same kind of perspective which we want to share. So before Shok spoke, I just found that I'm already on those points. So this is another platform where he has preempted me from speaking my mind. So Shok, thank you very much. So let me then see if I can deviate a little bit from those points and share something else with you. So I start with this renewed interest in millet, which of course is from health point of view, from nutrition point of view, and also from sustainability point of view and climate change point of view. While all these things are okay, that millets are climate resilient, they are hardy crops. So we should then understand one implication of this, that generally crops which are adapted to harsh climates and harsh environments, they are low yielding, whatever crop you take. So in terms of their biomass, they are low yielding. So this is how in the nature adaptation happens. And even if you start growing millets in irrigated area, the crops which are adapted to that ecology, millets will never be able to compete with that kind of those kind of products. So talking of shifting of area from rice, wheat toward millets, I feel is futile. It is not going to happen because it is because of thousands of years of adaptation of nature that these kind of pattern have emerged. It is not that we have given some artificial sport, and because of that rice is being grown somewhere, and where it is grown like that, everybody knows it has sustainability implication. It can't sustain beyond another 20, 30 years, like we are seeing what is happening in northwest India, where rice is being grown through artificial sport. So if this is the case, then I feel that our reliance on increasing production and productivity, which Madam Shobha Thakur talked about, I feel the primary source has to be breakthrough in yield, productivity. So I'm happy that Dr. Yadav is here, Dr. Rao is also here, they represent a research side. So unless they do something in terms of higher yielding varieties, better quality variety, we cannot make much progress in expansion of millet. We can make small impacts that you plow soil better, give better nutrition, but ultimate potential, if it is low, you cannot take it very far. So I just feel that role of research very important. Even in case of other crops, if you look at India, what kind of substitution generally happens? Depending upon what is the behavior of monsoon and soil moisture, what is likely market, the crop shifts happen between coarse cereal, pulses, and oil seeds. So if we want to push coarse cereal in the area where pulses are grown and oil seeds are grown, again it is likely to achieve very less success because India is already deficit in those kind of things, and ministry is already trying to increase production of oil seeds and pulses. So all these reasons I am given to bring attention to one point, that increase in productivity of millets is very important, and for that R&D, good practice, good care of crops, they are very important. And also supply side, which Ashok Dalwai ji mentioned, that if we say that consumption of per capita consumption of millets has come down from 32 kg per person per year to 4 kg since the beginning of Green Revolution, how we can address it. So economists always are puzzled whether it is because of change in demand or because of change in supply, and that's why in econometrics we call problem of identification. So this problem of identification is already there, but one thing is very clear, that unless we increase supply, I think it is very difficult to increase availability of millets. So it is very important. So Ashok, I feel that in some context what JB said becomes important.
Right.
That supply creates demand.
Yes.
Though it was proved wrong by Keynes and others. So, but in some cases you need supply. Otherwise, consumer will consume whatever is available to them and whatever is produced. Then even in case of consumption, even though millets are considered to be healthy, better nutrition, even we knowing all these things, if we look at our consumption behavior, I don't think in a year each one of us will be consuming more than 10 kg of millets.
Yes.
You just do those calculations that we are not consuming more than 10 kg of millets, knowing fully well, even speaking about the nutrition value of these foods. So it reminds me one of my professor in PAU who developed bear varieties. So one day he just took some other fruit, and another day also he took other fruit. So his wife then asked him, "You are always talking about bear and you are working on bears, but for home you are always bringing orange or something else." He said, "That is for others." I want others to consume more bear, not myself. But charity begins at home. So I think unless we change this attitude that we are telling others, then it reduces to lecturing. So in fact, I love millets. Whenever the Akar Rao send me free gifts, I consume those. I do not let anyone in my house to consume those millets. So fond of consuming millets. And I also sometimes challenge Dr. Bandari, who support millets, also Neelam, that I am diabetic, but the day I eat ragi ka preparation or any others, my sugar turns out to be higher than what it is with wheat. So I don't know what is this Neelam, we really maybe something wrong with my body constitution. Everybody has his own kind of constitution, but there are other benefits that in terms of iron content and many other things it is there. But the point which I want to make here is that if we keep emphasizing nutrition value, creating awareness about health, positive health effects of millets, and do not increase supply, then millets is going to become diet of elite. Yes. It will go out of stomach of poor people who needs millet most. So that's why I am just emphasizing that increasing productivity is very important to promote. But then there are so many challenges if we have to do that. Millets will not get popularity based on our wish. We need to work on this. We are talking of innovation, good practices. So good practices are not restricted to only production. Good practices can be from any other area. So I would say, yes, please. I welcome our Vice Chairman, Shri Suman Beriji, that he has spared time and come to launch the site which has been prepared by the organizer. So I will briefly conclude in another 2-3 minutes because he has a very busy day today. So when we talk of good practices, the good practice should also cover good practices in policy. Like Haryana is one state which is implementing deficiency price payment for Bajra, and it is quite successful. So if I think other states also adopt it, then in case of Bajra, their fluctuation in year-to-year production is so huge that sometimes you get 30% more and sometimes you get 40% less, because it is grown in marginal environment, subject to vagaries of nature. So very important that what kind of price insurance we offer. So that is also a good practice. Similarly, there could be innovation in processing. There could be innovation in connecting producer to consumer. So along with having entries on production, better you encourage that you would also encourage entries on policy innovation, processing innovation, and related to value chain. So how we make, how we promote millets in the year of International Year of Millet, I feel that it should become part of the all development program of Government of India, rather than promoting millet alone in the millet mission or something. Like I would have liked millet to become part of aspiration district. I would like millet to be the main product of National Rainfed Area Authority. Of course, Ashok Dalwai is already giving a lot of push to it, but I think National Rainfed Area Authority, in fact, the first chairman of National Rainfed Area Authority was working on creating irrigation for rainfed area. So I told him, this is not your job. You listen to speech by Dr. Manmohan Singh, but was the role he visualized,
Yes.
that how to make rainfed per se more productive and more profitable, not to convert rainfed into irrigated. Then another is that some documentation of experience on climate smart agriculture. I think millets are best candidate for climate smart agriculture. So integrate it with the climate smart mission, integrate it with the sustainability mission, and see to it that millets are covered under Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana, because they are very risky crop. They need this kind of support. So I feel that if we pay proper attention to R&D, proper attention to policies, proper attention to best practice, and create awareness about millets, then millet will move from crop of compulsion to crop of option. Right now they are the crop of compulsion, that where you have no choice. By compulsion you have to grow these. So let us keep this goal before us, that we have to convert millets from crop of compulsion to crop of options. So with these words, I once again thank all of you for participation in this workshop, and look forward to very productive outcome from the technical session which will follow this session. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I would like to take the honor in welcoming our Honorable Vice Chairman. He has several meetings to attend now in a row. Sir, thanks for coming and joining, sir. Only 2 minute address, then you can say Honorable.
Okay, yes, Neelam, I was going to express my regrets, but Neelam persuaded me that at least for the launch I should be present.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And this is not out of any disinterest in the topic. I always learn a lot from my colleague, Professor Ramesh Chand. He's forgotten much more about agriculture than I will ever know. But it's just the compulsions of the day. So, Government of India has already taken numerous steps to promote millets and has also well recognized the role of millets in nutritional security of India. But there, as you will have heard and will hear again in the technical session, there are multiple challenges related to millets that need to be addressed, both in terms of production and adaptability among consumers. But I might also add that cultivating a taste for millets is an important part of that. So we need to identify both demand and supply constraints contributing to the decline in production of this wonder crop and formulate our policies accordingly. Sharing best practices identifies and fills knowledge gaps, generates creative and innovative ideas, enables better decision making, and cuts down costs and time. And I can commend the efforts of Niti Aayog and the World Food Programme, and believe that this partnership and wish that this partnership results in tangible output to bring about transformational change in the nutritional status of this country. But as I understand it, this is also about spreading good practice elsewhere in the world. So with these very few remarks, Neelam,
Sir,
I'm in
you,
your
sir.
hands again.
Yes, sir, this mouse is there, so sir, this is the work folder, so click and then, yeah.
Okay, sitting or standing? There we
Just
go.
what sitting is recommended.
Okay, so where should I have clicked?
Click to launch.
Click
Just
to launch.
Click
Yeah,
to
yeah,
launch.
yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Yes, sir.
Does that work?
Yes.
All right. Has it, should it come up? Or?
It will come.
Okay, fine. Yeah. Please excuse my rudeness, sir.
Please, no.
Right.
We understand.
Right.
Under the able guidance of
Dr. Chandra. And, right.
Dr. Chand is here. So
Right. I'm just eager to see. Now, is it launched?
yes,
Okay.
good side.
It still says push to launch. Are you sure? Should I do it again?
Sir, please go
So please wait for a minute. It will come. It will just come in 5-7 seconds. Thank you.
Yes.
There we go. Okay. I'll take my leave. Thank you. Thank you again.
Wonderful.
Sir, now, Dr. Ravi, you can propose vote of thanks, then we'll move to first technical session.
Yeah. Very good afternoon all. Distinguished invitees and ladies and gentlemen. Indeed, it's my immense pleasure and honor to propose vote of thanks on this launching ceremony of mapping and exchange of good practices for millets mainstreaming in Asia and Africa. I, on behalf of our team at Niti Aayog, convey deep regards and hearty thanks to Sri Suman K. Berry, Honorable Vice Chairman, Niti Aayog, for making his gracious presence and inaugurating the website. Dear friends, we have today with us Honorable Member, Niti Aayog, Professor Ramesh Chand sir. We are greatly encouraged by your gracious presence, sir, and your occasion of launching the website. We are extremely grateful to Sri Bishop Parajuli, Representative and Country Director, World Food Programme, India, for partnering with us for this important project towards mainstreaming millet in Asia and Africa, and also providing us continuous support. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us. And my deep regards and thanks to Dr. Ashok Dalwai, sir, CEO, National Repaid Area Authority, and also Srimati Shubha Thakur, Joint Secretary, Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare, for your presence and address. Also thanks to Dr. Yadav, D.K. Yadav, sir, ADG, Seeds, ICR, Dr. Dayakar Rao, ICR, IMR, for joining us today, sir. And also thank to Sri Pranay Sinha, Program Policy Officer, and Mr. Pradnya Paintkar, Word Food Program. My thanks to Dr. Neelam Patelji, Senior Advisor, Niti Aayog, Agriculture Vertical, for her encouragement, guidance, and leading the team for this important project. I convey thanks to all distinguished invitees, delegates from Word Food Program, ICR, KVKs, Central and State Government Departments, Universities, FAO, Director General ICRISAT, and all the participants who have joined online with us today. Once again, thank you very much for joining this important event. Thank you.
Sir, now with your permission, we are moving to technical session first, and under the chairmanship of our Dr. Ashok Dalwai sir. Sir, in this session we are having three presentations, and then closing remarks and way forward from our ADG sir. So sir, now sir, we are handing over to you sir to further conduct of the session.
Thank you very much, Dr. Neelam. After having listened to the talk by Professor Ramesh Chand and others who have set the context, we now come to the specific theme, and the theme of this technical session is development of a good practice compendium on millet mainstreaming and a scale-up strategy. So I would welcome all members present here and everyone else who has joined us on the virtual platform. And we would be having 3 presentations, and each of the presentations has 15 minutes. So I would request all the speakers to respect the time so that we have adequate time for the discussion with the state governments who are also present here, and ultimately the state governments who need to bear this responsibility, so we need to give them opportunity. And as the theme goes, I think the key point here is scaling it up. We always have very good pilots, extremely good demonstrations, but then when we are able to scale, when we are not able to scale it up because of certain challenges. So the presenters should be able to bring out as to how we can actually scale up the best practices that you would be sharing with us. So without much ado now, let me invite Madam Pradnya Paintkar, Head Climate Resilience from the World Food Program, who will be presenting to us on the topic Introduction and Objectives.
Sir,
Mapping.
first is from Dayakar Rao ji.
Oh, is it?
From IIM.
You are changing here? Okay. All right. So we'll now. Oh, I'm sorry. I did not. Yeah, Dr. Dayakar Rao. Yeah. Sorry. So we have got 4 speakers then. All right. So Dr. Dayakar Rao will speak to us on scaling of good practices in millet. So you are stating straight away start with scaling it up. Dr. Dayakar. Oh, 10 minutes time. Sorry, not 15. So now 10 minutes each. Okay. Okay, please go ahead. Yeah. I think what we can do is the speakers can, without getting to formality, come to the business as straight away. Okay? So you say 1 minute on addressing all of us.
Thank you, Chairman. We're talking about the mainstreaming. In fact, the basic trust areas, the best practices could be, as pointed by the earlier speakers, productivity, and also the area, then augmenting farmers' income from millets, and food and nutritional security throughout the trust areas, climate resilient foods, climate value chain components, both backward and forward integration, and potential for growth of markets through startups and MSME. And of course, these days we are talking about the international trade area, enhanced exports. So our scheme is going to be very broad. Next. So mainstreaming millets involves various components, both R&D to the commercialization and policy entrepreneurship. Of course, when it comes to the beginning is the millet cultivation with the farmers. These are the various states that are growing. So you can see the pan-India presence and how it to go into an integrated framework for the mainstreaming of millets. Next. I'll just quickly go through Odisha Millet Mission, where they incentivized production through economy, decentralized procurement and processing, market assistance and policy support. I am not just explaining, but broad titles that one can consider for taking it forward. The awareness creation for enhanced consumption. So the magnum of the operation that took place and it is being scaled up is quite 19 districts, 142 blocks, 79 gram panchayats and 18,000 villages and farmers, about 11 lakhs, 1 lakh, 1 lakh 10,000. So this Odisha Millet Mission, we see that about 215% increase in gross value of millet produce per farmer household. This is one of the best models that are currently available, where the integration has happened all through that. The impact could be seen by the stabilization of area and productivity. This is very important thing. These are all marginal environments, and how for other states to take up. Some parts are also, we see that they are all under that dry land and with poor marginal environments. And including Ragi in ICDS program piloting and then taking it. In the market front, that Millet Shakti case, I think that is one notable thing that is getting a traction with good quality products that are taken by the SHG groups and taken to the promoting the consumption. So this is not just the rural consumption model, but it has some inherent program and inherent weaknesses. What I understand is from the Odisha Millet Mission, industry connect is not established. Of course, it is technically, we see that the platform is made, but I think as they scale up, that one important thing that has to come up in terms of startups, as well as it is there, but it has to grow much faster. But the industry connect has to come. The next one is about Karnataka, previous phase 2. Phase 2 again is, they are the leaders, in fact, that's what we saw over years in the past 2017-18 onwards. They have a particular model about incentivized production, where 10 lakhs per hectare and financial assistance for processing units. So the complete value chain has been rolled out in this thing, but there was some slackening, but I think market facilitation and connecting FPOs with that of the federations and then to the industry was one of the laudable things that one can emulate from that. Procurement of Ragi and Jawar in two different ecologies with a bonus above MSP absorbed by the state government. Then we saw that the supply chain with the private sector engagement, that is what is strengthened and stabilized area and productivity. Of course, the boost to millet startups and one of the laudable thing is the international trade fair of that magnitude, that which they have shown, that is of a very high scale, and I think at the country level we need to have something like that. That is one thing, one learning that we can take up. IMR has been a knowledge partner in many initiatives with this. Next one, ICR IMR. Then we have in North Coastal Andhra also. Here again the local value chains have been established in tribal areas, and integrated connectivity that has happened, that the produce is absorbed in the local ICDS programs as well as in the integrated tribal development schools. And so we see that there is a lot of empowerment that is taking place in these areas. Next. And then we see that INSIP is a program of DA and FW, and that was in fact laid a lot of foundation working in about 14 states. There are a lot of lessons that has happened, especially with the farm gate value addition and other things which were rolled out. But after that, subsequently the states have owned that. This was the beginning of that government of India promoting certain things, but later when the states were inclusive here, ICR IMR was the nodal institute. Next one. Then here we see that in Madhya Pradesh, I think Madhya Pradesh is quite silent, and 40 villages it started, and they are coming up with a new program of millet mission, and it appears to be robust because of the piloting that they have taken place in terms of the forward integration, especially with regard to they are very strong in Koda and Putti, and also Ragi is also become a part of that thing. So here we see that in each of the state the particular millet has a. So unfortunately, Bajra has not been part of this millet machines in any of these states. I think that is where the 50-60% of the production that comes for the millets is not included in this millets. So we need to really just concentrate on that particular single commodity. Even jowar is included, but not here we see the impact again with the local self-help groups and working with the UNESCO and many other agencies, and they have brought out some sort of a code of conduct recognized as key assets in combating the climate change. Some sort of awareness among the tribal districts, this is a laudable thing I feel, and this can be scaled up. Next one. Previous, fifth one, fourth one is missed. Okay, please go ahead. One another state is actually Chhattisgarh, which is doing a silent revolution. We have signed, ICR, IMR has signed an MOU with them, and they are doing an excellent job actually in coming up with learning the lessons from the other states, trying to bring in a hybrid model by themselves. I think procurement has taken place, and they are establishing a big industry as a support to that further taking thing. And another side, they are trying to include that ICDS mainstreaming millets into public funded programs. Next one. In case of NutriHub, there is one startup's escalation that took place. It's a revolutionary scientific revolution, and silently now it's about 300 startups have come up across the country. In fact, to transfer the knowledge and innovation to creation of startups in processing, value addition, and they are getting into about 18 states and union territories totally. I think this model, this center has to be going an outreach center and trying to establish the demand centers, demand creation centers, supporting the state government, so that the success story may be replicated across the country, and the whole of the startups that can be prepared for the future international year of millets launching, so that they can, as Shubha Thakur madam was talking about, that it should make a global presence. I think that is one thing that one can take these things forward, because all the ingredients are put in place in case of this thing, but the technology, training, all these things. That model should be replicated. Next one. This is Chhattisgarh Millet Mission. I was talking about the MOU with ICR has made an MOU with them, and then we have brought out really this is minor forest producer department, Chhattisgarh. They have taken the lead, and then coming up in a very big way. In fact, they are trying to integrate PMFME and many ODOP and all the converging them and taking to that. I think a learning that is said, but they are very silent about it. They need to promote their success story to take things to the next level. Next one. Now the summary is the production side, the community approach through FPO linkages, quality seed production and distribution, introduction in better endowed areas, and incentivization of millet cultivation is very, very vital for us. At least for some time, we need to offer this particular thing in various states. When it comes to the consumption, eat millet campaigns and many other promotional activities try to bring in as a food which the rural and urban can embrace it as not only health and as a new generation food. Promoting health diets because so that the nutrition can be retained. Processing and value addition, farm gate value addition is very, very vital for us. Especially it can be very easily translated into Africa and Asia, so that the incomes can increase, as well as we can see that the machinery that which we have has not really just been I think if you find in Africa, you don't find this machinery which is completely both primary and secondary processing machinery. This model can be taken to that and South-South collaboration to Africa and other nations. Cluster-based processing infrastructure and financial assistance for setting a processing unit, training and capacity building, which is becoming a robust model, so that these can be scaled up. And when it comes to the markets and policies, mainstreaming millets to the public funded programs, again as volumes we are looking for the creation of demand, inclusion in like midday meals and ICDS program, announcement of MSP coupled with the procurement, this procurement which is not happening in all states, we need to take that, and market assistance through buyback options for demand creation. So that's I think we need to give some sort of a concession, especially in the rain-fed areas which we neglected for past in terms of the input subsidies as well as the output incentives also. Private sector engagement in strengthening the millet value chain. Next. So other states are also there. Uttar Pradesh, there is millet things are happening, promotion is happening, but there are some sort of constraints. I think so. We have just listed out. In fact, we were part of the various meeting trying to hear. They are trying to do that, but they are in a small scale. I think they need to be scaled up. My time is very short, so I will not be reading out. But this presentation, I leave it so that we will be working on these states also, because each of the state has a huge potential. Next one. Rajasthan particularly, challenges in mainstreaming. So I have mentioned many of these things, so I would like to just only read out the way forward is strengthening the seed chain. So the seed availability can be a very vital thing, and taking it to the remotest possible thing in a timely manner. Increasing productivity, again, it is emphasized, and intercropping with better endowed areas. Balancing the supply and demand of the millets. I think this all promoting millets as aspirational food through the branding, ensuring MSP for small millets, establish effective procurement practices and timely payment for the farmers, including the localized procurement. The quality aspect is very vital when we take this millet promotion for way forward. Sensitization of farmers and local government around a change in MSP structure also needs to be thought of. Last slide. Branding through social media and other whatever the new age media that is coming up, awareness about nutrition and health facts through brand ambassadors, and participation of other government and private sectors. Decentralized private people are coming up now, I think more and more acceptability, including this PLA scheme. Many people have come for the millet production, millet processing and products. I think that's a very good change. And lastly, about inviting investment in millet processing, R&D from the private sector, incentivize private sector participation in RTE, RTC, ready to eat and ready to cook segment, and decentralized value added processing. These are some of the points I would like to bring it to the August House. Some of the things, I think with this I conclude, Chairman Ji.
Thank you very much.
Very good.
Thank you very much, Dr. Dayakar. Within a very short time, you have brought out the entire value chain. You also painted the large canvas of our country, so where the shoots of encouragement are seen and where they should be seen. As you brought out, I think Bajra is something that was neglected, and that is the highest.
MSP has to be.
Yeah, MSP and other things we can look at, but generally, yes, Bajra is something where I think we neglected. 10 million hectares is under Bajra out of 18 million hectares of total area under millets. So Rajasthan is a state I think we should tap for it. Rajasthan, because Rajasthan, 80% of its millets is all actually only under Bajra. Okay, so we'll look at that. Thank you very much, and for everybody's information, Dr. Dayakar is somebody who has been a missionary. Nodal officer, scientist who has been pushing for this along with Dr. Vilas P. So we are extremely grateful to you both, Dayakar, yourself, and Vilas is not here. So we'll thank you very much. So I'm sure during the open house discussion, a lot of issues will come up. So now let me invite Madam Pradnya Paitankar from the World Food Program. Madam, yes, the next is, you have your 10 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Dalwai, and good evening to all esteemed participants and the honorable dignitaries. I'm going to just talk a bit about this initiative, which is called as MEGP, or Mapping and Exchange of Good Practices for Millets Mainstreaming in Asia and Africa. So actually talking about this, I don't think I will need to give any background really, because I think at least in this room and online, those people who are here, there is no need for converting the converts. So we all are really committed to millets. And so next slide, please. There is absolutely really no need for emphasizing why millets are essential and what are the critical factors. We have already talked about this. Just a bit, previous slide. Yeah, just a bit on the benefits of millet. So what we really look at is from the food security perspective, of course, so sustainable source of combating hunger. And it was talked as well that in the changing climate, there is more and more requirement by multiple countries, and both a better growth and productivity is something which actually needs to be emphasized. Climate resilience has been talked about, and though of course we know that millet has been the crop for I mean, it's a traditional crop which actually stands back to the Harappan civilization, but it is also called as the future crop. So from the climate resilience perspective, one important aspect is also low nutrient inputs which are required. The third aspect which actually is very important is economic security. So when we are talking about low inputs, that itself is in a way low investment in terms of the needs for production and sustainable nutrient source to the farmers. So from that perspective, it does provide economic security. Nutritional security, again, there are lots of discussions about the nutritional contents in the various crops, the micronutrient rich, better amino acid profile and all. And also the last but not the least is safety from diseases, and specifically when we are talking about the non-communicable or lifestyle diseases, where there is quite a lot of contribution that this millets they do offer. So just having said that, I'll straightway go to the demand and supply side factors, and again quite a lot actually has been said about it. So on the demand side, when we are talking about, there is quite a lot of potential that the safety nets, specifically food-based safety nets, they actually can create a sustainable or assured demand, but at the same time, it does not really stop us, and it should not really stop us from going for commercial aspects or opportunities for poor social status and the lack of traditional knowledge, etc., which leads to issues related to demand side. So there has been, in fact, quite a lot of things which are done. There are islands of excellence, but then there are also issues regarding the scale-up and mainstreaming. When we talk about supply side, again, there is quite a lot which was talked. One is like, of course, the productivity and the production, but at the same time about the profitability, how the case can be really economically viable, and how can that really sustain over a period of time. While the impetus is there is actually a rise in a particular demand or supply, but when that impetus is gone, will it sustain really? And how those kinds of models or experiences can really be looked at and leveraged upon and then integrated into our policy framework so that it sustains over a period of time. Next, please. So now specifically talking about the initiative. So we actually are thinking of mainly three objectives. So the first objective is basically to promote the climate resilient practices for sustainable food and nutrition security, and specifically focusing on most vulnerable communities, which also includes the smallholder farmers. The second objective is mainstreaming millet in the country and strategies that will strengthen India's global leadership in knowledge exchange, leveraging 2023 as an international year of millets. And the third one is to build resilient livelihoods and adaptation capacities to climate change for smallholding farmers and transform the food systems. I mean, basically, it's not really transforming the food systems, but contribute towards those efforts. And the thought is basically to have it in 4 phases. So the first phase is with this initiative, making real efforts, like Dr. Dayakar Rao has really presented some great cases. So how those cases and some additional cases can really be coming from the various states, various small kind of pockets of the country, and then those could be documented. And then a compendium actually can be brought out, which will help develop the scale-up strategy. Now, this compendium again would be not just specific to India, but also will cover major countries which in fact are doing something around the millets in Asia and Africa. The reason why we are considering Asia and Africa is again those countries which are specifically dealing with millets either in the form of production or consumption or anywhere across the value chain. Phase 2 will be about supporting the scale-up of millet mainstreaming through knowledge sharing and intense engagement with the select state, and then leveraging India's expertise to support developing countries in millet mainstreaming. So it's a kind of gradual process. While we are doing it within the country, at the same time we are also playing a role of global leader, and how that can be really facilitated. And then working on building capacities of climate resilient and adaptive livelihood practices, which is more like a kind of long-term partnership between government of, for example, the government of Odisha as actually a demonstration case. There are some other things which are actually coming out, and then developing some proposals around it and seeing how this can actually lead to the bilateral cooperation between India and some of the selected countries. Next, please. So this initiative actually aims to map and exchange good practices, as we have said. The compendium of good practices is targeted to make it easier for the governments to better understand what it really entails and trigger informed decision if they wish to scale up and replicate these ideas. And this is something which actually is like stopping us from reinventing the wheels. We already have seen that Odisha case was presented as one of the best practices. However, when the states actually want to replicate it or scale it up, they have to contextualize it and they really make those changes and then implement it. So having those kinds of model understanding or learnings as well as of the successes as well as the failures will actually help for each of the unit which actually wants to really take a decision about it to be more informed and more nuanced. And this will unlock various South-South cooperation and triangular cooperation pathways, and that will lead to, that can be really done through various study visits or expert deployment, because as we have seen, there are many solutions, like for example, the farm gate level processing for millets. There are some very specific technologies which are developed locally, and they are really very useful. And how those technologies as well can be really scaled up or transferred, and are there any possibilities of really doing that? Could there be some demonstration sites which actually can be visited and help how peer coaching networks can really come up? As I said, knowledge and technology transfers, and also policy dialogues, how and where. I mean, it's like it is from one extreme to other, like either completely replacing everything by millets, which is not at all the objectives, but at the same time really overlooking completely millets. So how we really have a kind of balanced approach and how that policy can really facilitate that. Next, please. So this is the conceptual framework that is being used for this particular initiative, the MEGP initiative. As has been said, it is across the value chain, and so if you look at the inner circle, so it talks about production, storage and transportation, processing, packaging and branding, distribution and consumption. So all critical aspects and the stories or the best practices around it. So this can be a best practice which is actually state run, which could be the government systems, which could be even some interventions or some initiatives by civil society or other organizations or networks, even FPOs. And then the outer one is more like a broader pathway, which is from institutional commitment and coordination, sustainable and innovating financing, then multi-stakeholder partnership, which also is important because it's, when we are talking about a value chain, it cannot be really just one stakeholder, but we have to touch upon multiple partnerships. Then enabling environment, which is again extremely important, and how that actually can be enhanced, can be used to enhance the production. and inclusion of safety nets. And the last but not the least is gender and inclusion, because also one of the aspect which has been highlighted is like when it comes to millets production, it involves lot of drudgery, and a lot of responsibility of this lies with the women, and to what extent they actually can be mainstreamed and they can be supported so that they also become the entrepreneurs rather than just doing it as a kind of labor. Next, please. Yeah, so I think, I mean, the categories which basically are where we are going to ask for the information or the best practices are under these two pathways that we just talked about. So one is the millet value chain, and the second one is mainstreaming dimensions, and those are basically main two categories under which the invitations for the applications or the best practices case stories will be done. So I'd like to stop there because the rest of the part, which is more on the analytical framework, will be taken over by my colleague Pranay. So thank you so much, Dr. Dalwai. Over to you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Madam Prajna. So I think you have, through your introduction, made it clearer to many of our participants. I hope the state governments in particular who are here and who are also not here but are on virtual platform are clearer now as to what do we mean by identifying and mapping the best practices. So the clarity is that best practices along the value chain. That's what has to be looked at. You would have many best practices, but they must be prioritized or delineated first according to the value chain, pre-production, production and post-production. And the second one is, of course, that since it is a massive task and not one single department or one single government can do, how partnerships can be stitched together with civil society, the communities, the research organizations, the private sector, and between and among these different governments. So that is what is a multi-stakeholder system we're talking about. And we need to go beyond India. Though India would be in the lead, we also have other countries who are used to millets and we can learn best from them. Two things that I would like to emphasize here is to if we want India to be a global leader, then seed is the best source of becoming the global leader. So can we facilitate seed production so that we have quality seed production according to different varieties for different crops as suited to different countries? And if India can take the responsibility of sharing the seeds along with the entire technology package and the package of practice, along with, of course, that particular center serving as a demonstration plot. So if we want that to happen, since India has a diversity of agroclimatic zones, in alignment with the different agroclimatic zones of different countries, if we can identify places within India where they can serve as a center of excellence relating to production, so that those countries which you have now contemplated to get them to see, they can go to that specific center of excellence. That could be an arid zone, semi-arid zone, high rainfall area, low rainfall area, in alignment with different Asian and African countries, then we can become the center of excellence. And second one is, of course, center of excellence on post-production. There, of course, obviously, someone like IIMR, which is common to all the post-production management, it can become the center of excellence for post-production. So we need to become the center of excellence. That's what I would say. And plus, of course, the seed technology. So I will stop here thanking Madam Prajna for a very good presentation. And from this introduction on the best practices, we now go into the tier 2. And Mr. Pranay will now come to tell us about what is analytical framework. I think we should understand that so it becomes easy for us to then start identifying, delineating the various interventions required that can be scaled up. So, Mr. Pranay Sinha, this is yours.
Thank you, Chair Dr. Dalwai. Could I request you, please? So while Samiji is giving the presentation,
Yeah. You have the mic, I hope, no?
yeah, I
Slide number.
please go back
Go to
the
eligibility.
please.
Eligibility. Go up.
Let's go to the Millet framework once again, please. Yeah.
फुल स्लाइड पे कर दें इसको.
So, So, I'll start with this millet manufacturing sector framework because this is the core framework which WFP and EP team has have collectively thought through, and in the inner layer we have, as the mayor mentioned, various stages of value chain on millet, and the outer circle is mainstreaming. So we have to understand an interplay between agriculture and millet as a crop, as a value chain, and then the mainstreaming efforts. And the core definitely remains the millet value chain, but then there are various other dimensions. And as Madam Subhas in the beginning was saying, sutras, and these are the dimensions. And from here, the initiative of MEGP in terms of calling for good practices are designed. And the design entries are going to come from any of these dimensions. It could be exclusive, or it could be a combination of more than one factor, because any of the stakeholders could be having an entry point from any of the perspective, and from multilaterals, government departments, and bilaterals. So it is an all-inclusive framework, and as in the beginning, Dunya also mentioned that millet is a converging theme. So it could be approached from any of the 9 departments, any of the aspects of state government, and also from the private collectives. So with this as a conceptual framework, next please. You could see the categories, the millet value chain, the 6 categories, and mainstreaming dimension are going drawn from that part. And also a dedicated category on the millet recipe. So it is to enhance the knowledge on the cooking method and development of developed millet recipes that could be included in the daily diet. So we know various traditional practices do exist, and it is existing in various scattered geography, and also only a few are being told or being known to urban consumers. So there is a mismatch, there is a disconnect. So this would also identify, possibly contribute to that knowledge base. Next please. So the eligibility. Entire Africa and Asia. It could be submitted by anyone from geography. We have seen in the FAO stat approximately 50 to 70 countries from Africa and Asia are homes where the millet is being cultivated. So these countries are our definitely audience from where the organizations and practitioners from government, non-government, multilaterals, farmer producer organizations, self-help groups, primary agriculture cooperative societies, and any other cooperatives, private sector, startups, individuals could submit the story. Solutions at the conceptual stage are not eligible. So which are in the formative stage, they are not eligible. The interventions which has been conceptualized and implemented in one of them of geography. Next please. So what are the incentives to the participants, those who are going to submit the stories? And you see, we have seen various stakeholders who could submit the story. So there is different incentive for different stakeholder. Access to bridge initiative like back supporting millet startup. We have just seen what IMR, Dr. Jacob Rao's Innovation Hub, supported by Ministry of Agriculture, has done. It has gone beyond more than 300 startups operating in 18 of 19 states, and there is a long way to go. So there could be access to bridge initiative where the potential startups of private sector could be linked up with our own government of India's startup policy. And Invest India are the one agency which is heavily invested in back supporting those agro producer organizations as well as startups. So there is some discussion, and under the aegis of MEP, those discussions will be happening. So access to bridge initiative. access to regional platform for learning dissemination. So 6 months down the line, there will be an international workshop where they will be also invited, the ones those who are going to be the winners. But at the same time, we also plan, NITI and WFP also plan to have a knowledge management platform. And currently contours of those are being discussed, but then they all have participants from Africa and Asia would be having access to that platform for knowledge exchange. And then networking platforms like Little Bit Donors, Innovation Lab, research institutes, government department would all part of that. And networking platform and regional platform could be a single platform, knowledge management platform. And the linkages with government departments, as Dr. Gavin mentioned, multiple states are in different stages of maturity of millet mainstreaming, and they have undertaken different steps across the value chain as per the framework. So there are enough scope of these multilaterals, bilaterals, government departments, NGOs, even FPOs to have linkages with these startups and scaling up. And finally, publication support. So these are the incentives for the individual submitters where we could be having a common collective effort. So it's like an umbrella effort, coalition of willing. Next, please. Evaluation criteria. So all the submissions, they will be evaluated in 5 criteria. Dr. Tilui was mentioning, and I was keenly looking into those indicators on production side. So innovation, novelty of the situation, practicality, ability to address significant current or emerging need, gender and inclusion, part and parcel of our own ability to reach the last mile, the most marginalized and excluded, particularly women, impact, how it has improved the outcome and the scale, and finally sustainability, potential for scale-up and alignment with the public-private systems, because these are our current government's priorities. And this will help all the state governments and central government entities to pick and choose whom one would like to engage with. Next, please. The timelines. Today we have launched. We will be having 2 months of window where we will be having series of national and international dissemination events. There are multiple events planned both in Asia and Africa, and also with state governments and various line ministries and departments. So in next 8 weeks, we are possibly going to have 8 events. The last date for submission for both national and international audience, it's 18th of September. And from there on, we will be shortlisting these top entries for each category, as we have mentioned before, in next 3 to 4 weeks. And then within 2 weeks, we will be having presentation and announcement of the winner. So that's the timeline from today till 30th of October. And then we will take 1 month for the organization of the regional conference, the launch of the campaign here. And finally, 22, we hope to end this year by having the knowledge management platform already in place, so that 2023, which Madam was mentioning, there's a big plan for create. Maybe by then we will be ready with that. Next, please. So, jury members. We have Dr. Arvind Kepari as the chair of the Honorable Jury Committee. We have Madam Subha Thakur, Dr. Singh, Sri Napurna Singh, Dr. Vilas Tanoti, Madam Joanna Kotaka, as Dr. Neelam Patel and Madam Tilonia as member secretaries. Next, please. So, this is what we are capturing on one dimension of inviting the entries from Africa and Asia. So it was outward looking, Now let's have inward looking, because there is domestic dimension of what we're doing. And India is also in a trajectory where, okay, we are far ahead from other developing countries, but also different state governments are in different stages of maturity of millet mainstream. So this is what we will be sharing a questionnaire. It is already in the annexure, which has been shared, and this is all the state governments are requested to provide this information in next 1 month. There are 4 weeks, 18th of August. Next, please. So now we are coming to, I know it's a little time consuming, but still it's very important to understand the details, because they will in the details. What do we mean by those Millet framework and various dimensions? So these are the questions. as we could see, millet value chain in the production side, adoption of improved agronomic practices for enhanced productivity. This is the dimension where we are interested, and corresponding to this, the question we are asking to the state government, agriculture division, is that is there any capacity building program for adoption of improved agronomic practices for enhanced production of millets? And of millet intensification, line transportation, line sowing. So there are various questions corresponding to various dimensions. On the farm inputs and farm mechanization side, is there any initiative on provision of farm inputs like establishment of a decentralized seed system? Do we have community seed centers or composting? The second sub-dimension, is there any attempt for mechanization or improved production like establishment of custom hiring centers? So all these things would provide answer to the policy makers on the broader farm mechanization and farm inputs. And then on the irrigational infrastructure, is there any provision for supporting site-specific protective irrigation infrastructure? The fourth one, the capacity building and extension. Is there any participatory trial of field day conducted during the Kharif and Rabi season for advancing agricultural research and sharing progressive farmers' experiences on the benefits of improved agronomic practices? The second dimension on the storage and transportation side. So storage infrastructure, post-harvest handling, self-life, handling and transportation cost. Is there any provision of infrastructure for the storage of millets? Are there any guidelines or handholding support system for effective storage and post-harvest handling of millets to ensure its hygiene standards and quality? Are there any guidelines or technologies introduced for increasing the shelf-life of millets? Is there any provision of bearing the handling and transportation costs during the procurement of millets? So, you see, we are also going to have an insight of what is happening in the millet value chain vis-a-vis other crops. And the premise of this, that whether those neglected crops are becoming eligible crops as preferred crops, will give an insight to our own senior policymakers. On the processing side, harvesting and preparation, grading, technology diffusion, and finally attention to minor errors. How are we going to capture this? Is there any financial support provided to block level enterprises on processing and value addition and preparation? Are there any grading guidelines that have been established to support block level enterprises? Is there any initiative dedicated to processing of minor millets? Is there any effort of technology diffusion in the millet processing industry? Most of these questions would raise multiple questions within the state government also. And not all the questions would have answers, but then that's the point, because some of the state governments have done some efforts, they have different experiences, and those are the entry points for the knowledge exchange and the coming subsequent actions. Millet value chain, packaging and branding. Is there any effort for nutrition labeling for influencing food preferences? Is there any dedicated support to FPOs, aggregators for packaging and branding of millet products to harness full potential in domestic and international markets? Is there any support for organic certification? Is there any branded logo of millets produced in the state? The distribution side. Hand-holding of community-based organizations, matchmaking support to different stakeholders, market linkages, and support for millet export. You can quickly go through the dimensions rather than going into the questions, because state government will be going through that. We'll just have the dimension which we are covering and individual dimensions. The consumption side would be capturing the strategy to increase the household consumption of millets. Whether state have awareness campaigns, whether they have provisions for mobile outlet, farmer sales outlet, and whether they have any startup capital for setting up management of kiosks. And on the institutional commitment and coordination, we have gone through various state governments of what they have done differently from each other. And then we have figured out that this is the core dimension of institutional coordination. Whether the state have policy advisory committee, state level, whether they have any millet missions supported by a secretariat, whether the states dedicated financial and human resources, and whether the planned activities, convergent activities by other line departments other than agriculture department, because only a few dimensions are being taken care by our agriculture department, but beyond that there are other departmental things also. On sustainable and innovative financing, we are capturing 4 dimensions: the state budget and its allocation, and availability of millet mainstreaming budgets to different departments and agencies, annual plans and budget streams and spending, and sources of finances other than state government. So whether there are other investments coming from sources other than government. And finally, on the multi-stakeholder partnership, a partnership with NGOs, research institutions, corporate startups, agri-incubators, SNGs, FPOs, and facts. And finally, whether there have been any information sharing on emerging issues. And finally, we have an environment for enhanced production and improvement of safety nets, where there is any incentive for adoption of improved agronomic practices for millets, whether we have any established millet procurement system, whether we have announced MSP for both major and minor millets, and whether inclusion and distribution of millets in food distribution and supplementary nutrition programs. So at the central level, we have consistency in terms of geography that India is implementing in some of the other states. But whether the state government is having all these dimensions implemented in one geography is what we are going to assess. And finally, on the gender and inclusion side, the engagement with marginalized groups like tribals, community and women, addressing drudgery reduction of women, participation of landless tenants and farmers, and provision of HR pattern. So these are the broader dimensions and sub-dimensions of unbundling the millet mainstreaming framework. And everyone who has done any work, institutions, governments, they are more than welcome to submit stories in the MEGP form that is as a state chapter also.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Pranoy. I think you have given a very elaborate and detailed discussion. This makes things very clear. Now, I think I would request on his behalf, everyone here and on the virtual platform, that we need to give wide publicity to this. Yes. You know, first is that we need to understand. So go through. They have shared the link as well as the your hard copies here. Those of you who are here, please go through. It takes some time to understand these things. And how do we give wide publicity so that people actually understand and they're able to fill the respond as contestants under the relevant category, right? So that's very important. So I would request on his behalf so that we have a large number of participants in this evaluation. So right from the launch to evaluation to the final support is available to the people, is all detailed here. Thank you so much. And the questionnaire, of course, really is very good, I must tell you. It's excellently done. So let's understand the questionnaire. Thank you so much. So I think together yourself and Prajna have made it clearer to us to what is this. When I had gone through this, but my mind also was not very clear. I'm much clearer now. Thank you so much. So now, good, we are actually done on time, 5:10. Okay, so we come to the final part of this technical session, and we have closing remarks by Dr. D.K. Yadav, who is one of our very well-known readers. So you have a lot of response to be given to all the issues that have been raised. So Yadav Sahib is yours now.
Thank you, sir. And thanks to the organizers for giving me this opportunity, particularly Dr. Neelam, Honorable Dr. Ashok Dalvi, Dr. Bishop Pranjali, Madam Neelam, Madam Shubha, Dayakar and the senior colleagues. In fact, it's very, I think, very important as well as a very knowledgeable, knowledge enhancing session. And the initiative which has been taken, that is really very commendable, and I compliment the World Food Program organizers also as well as to Niti Aayog. We have some concerns, though Dr. Dalwai Saab and Dr. Ramesh Chand, they have very clearly pointed out every point regarding the millets value chain as well as the mainstreaming part. The one issue which is of concern, that is the decline in the area. Even last 3-4 years we have been working very hard, and when this initiative of the millet mission that was started and then changing the name Nutri Cereals and other things. So I have been associated from very beginning, and for last 3 years myself and Madam Subha, we have been working together along with Dr. Tonapi, Dr. Dayakar, and in almost all the meetings related to millets, whether it is millet mission or the seed hub program or now the International Year of Millets. So I don't think I have missed any of the meetings which we have been attending. So 17-18, when we see, when this program was initiated, so the area in case of sorghum, in pearl millets and most of the millets that has in decline. The only good thing which Dr. Ramesh Chand was also talking about, the productivity. That productivity in most of the cases that has enhanced, and that's why our production is almost stagnant, or somewhere it is increasing in some of the cases, somewhere it is decreasing also. So that is one serious issue which we, I think, need to take care of. Any crop, if we want to have its area expansion, so it has to compete with its contemporary crop. And the farmers will be coming forward only when they have the profitability in that. So you go to any cropping system, cropping diversification, which the government is talking now, and some of the states they have experimented also. So without incentives or without making that particular crop profitable as good as to its contemporary crop, it will never be possible. So in that direction, I think we have to make some efforts, and particularly Haryana example, Dr. Ramesh Chand has told. So in that case, the MSP was somewhere 1800 rupees, and the state was, the market mandi was procuring at 1200 rupees. I belong to that area where bajra is being procured, and Rewadi mandi I visited personally also. So they were paying 600 rupees per quintal to the farmers through this Bhavantar scheme of the government. So that type of initiatives I think we need to do. Then again, the production, in one of the meeting in this same hall, I raised this issue when this National Year of Millets that was being discussed, that production is not a big issue, but the lifting of that produce from the farmers, that also we have to ensure. The farmers can do anything, like in case of pulses during 16-17 when this one challenge was given. So our farmers, they reached from 16-17 million tons to now 27 million tons. So that they can do. But the only thing is that how we have to incentivize them and how to facilitate the lifting of the material at good prices with some incentives so that they can compensate their losses which they are to face with the change of the crop. So that part, I think already some work we are doing. Madam is there, Madam Subha, and they are already working that. So that is another issue. The one thing which is very common, the millets are considered as the poor man's meals. Now going to mall and other things, that is a different issue. But if you go to the millet growing states, I also belong from very near from Delhi, and I still remember that when we were just up to 5th, 6th class, when some guests used to come, then the wheat chapatis were made. Dr. Sani also belongs to the same area. So I think when some guests used to come, so we were very happy in that time that today we will be getting manda. We used to call that manda, roti chapati, wheat chapati, manda. So that was the situation, and in that also the all brothers, sisters, if 2 chapatis are spare, then half and half if for brothers, sisters are. So that was the situation about that. So that was a actually main meal at that time, and all the elders now, even now also the people who are above 60 years age, so they always prefer to go for the bajra consumption in terms of khichdi, in terms of rabdi, in terms of the chapati. So their preference is always that. So that some depression amongst the public who are eating the millets by only being helpless. They are not able to procure the wheat or rice, though rice is being supplied through some schemes, wheat and rice both. But they generally are in a depression that if I am eating these millets, so I am a poor person. And now we are attaching it with the higher class people. So that part also we have to take care that if the prices and other things of the product, they go so high that it is beyond the reach of poor. So that part also I think we need to think over during our program and whatsoever we are going in that part. Then the document or the initiative which has been now started. So the good agriculture practices in terms of production and pre-production, post-production, and 3-4 examples Dr. Dayakar has already presented, that the states which are doing very well, and we need to, I think, copy those practices. We need to go to the ground level, and the states are already involved, and the involvement of the states, I think that will be very essential so that we can reach to the ground root level, and we can have some good practices, we can borrow some good practices from the different states. And because the crops are area specific, environmental, agroclimatic specific, so a single practice which is being done at one place, that will not be working. So we have to go for that also, that the area specific good agriculture practices, if we talk of the agronomic practices, so definitely we'll have to go, and that part I think we'll have to take care, and the various state governments and the farmers as well as the ICR Institute, mainly the KVKs, their involvement will be essentially required so that we can reach to each and every corner, each and every stakeholder in this particular issue. They can give some good feedback, and that can come in a good document shape. The awareness part, I think that has been discussed very widely, and Bisho Saab, he has already told that we should go for some big people like the film star and all those things, because awareness is essentially required, and without that, if we don't go to that level, so definitely will not be achieving our target which we are already targeted. The various schemes already, I think in PDS from that time it is being has been included in the midday meal also, it is there, and now in our one of our NICRA program in ICR, already we are promoting the millets, as Dr. Ramesh Chandji told that it should be part of all the schemes. And even in the government distribution system also, in offices also, that was made compulsory to have the millet products in the offices also as snacks and all. So that is being practiced, and in Krishi Bhavan with the, I think, initiative of Dr. Shubha and with the help of our IMR, already we have one that Koshak also there for the various products which are available. So in all ministries and in state as well as central government, so this type of provision should be there so that the produce they can reach to maximum number of people. The one very important part, that is research and development, I think, which ICR has to take care. So definitely we are working on that, and many projects are there in the institute as well as with the involvement of the various state agriculture universities. So whatsoever the support is available, we are trying to do. And in that action also, during 8 years, sir, we have done a very good job in terms of the varietal development, and we have developed since 2014 182 varieties of the different millets, which is where maximum number is in case of pearl millet 59, in sorghum we have 52, in finger millet 33, little millet, proso millet, kodo millet, fox millet, and barnyard millet. So in all crops, now we have the variety, and the beauty of these varieties are that they have very high yield potential. If we see the average of these crops, so in case of pearl millet, now we have the hybrids up to 40 quintals per hectare. Likewise in sorghum also 40 quintals, 35 quintals hybrids are there. Finger millets again 30 quintals hybrids are there. So I think definitely we are trying to put all those material in the seed chain now, and with the seed hub in millets, with the help of under NFSM, Dr. Subha is looking after. So definitely we are trying our best, and seed is a big issue which has been discussed, and still now it is a big issue in the that ministers conference also. When Madam presented, I was also there during those 2 days. So the our minister, agriculture minister from UP, after discussion also, he was asking about the supply of seeds. So that is a big issue, and I think we'll have to work on that. And definitely I assure that being as AG seed also, and from on behalf of ICR also, I'm sure we'll be doing. And some of the researchable issues like the shelf life, because in PDS system, when in this particular committee room, we were discussing about putting the millets in PDS system, so shelf life was a big issue from the ministry, concerned ministry, that when we are sending this material, so definitely many times the quality is not of that level. And quality aspects also, some of the millets in finger millet and small millet, we have already some biofortified varieties, though these are already rich in many of the micronutrients, but we have tried to increase the protein level, zinc level, and iron level also, and 4 or 5 varieties have already been released, and we have put them in the seed chain. So seed definitely will be taken care of. And the processing part, generally when we go to any meeting, so the processing equipment, particularly the implements for the different millets, because they have to go for multiple processing in that case, so that also need to be strengthened. And private sector particularly, they can come forward. Some of the protocols have been developed by ICR institutions also, and they need to be promoted. Collaboration with the industry, one of the very important point, and if the government can put some rider on the R&D part of the private industry also, that at least some of their total spendings on the R&D components that should come to the millets also. So that will also definitely help in promoting the millets in terms of the varietal development as well as upskilling also. And the support from the government, particularly for the various R&D program, especially the Ministry of Agriculture is already doing under International Year of Millets, as Madam has very elaborately told about the various programs. So for most of the programs they are supporting, and for setting up of a global center, strengthening IMR as a global center for research and development, establishing some very state-of-art laboratory. So those proposals are already in process, and we are sure that they will be definitely materializing, and support will be coming, and ICR on its part also is doing well. The another thing, going to the international scenario like in Africa, and we have number of varieties, we know their agroclimatic conditions which are growing here, and taking those materials particularly matching with the agroclimatic conditions of African countries. So that is a good step, and that can be done, sir. And for that, the seed production program specifically will be strengthening, and will be taking special care. But the only thing which I think we need to take care, that once we are going to the international scenario, and many companies now they are going to the African countries, they are producing a lot of seeds, and they are again dumping that material to our market. So we should take care of our farmers also, that if the imported material is so dumped in the country and there is flood of that material, so our interest of our own farmers, they should also be taken care while we are going through this scheme. And under International Year of Millets, definitely that is a very systematic program which is going, and we are having almost weekly meetings under the chairmanship of both the secretary there and the SC, and that part we are taking care about the department. So these are some of the points I think while going to our further this development of this document, particularly in this good agriculture practices. So we should take care of that, and the various state agriculture institutes, ICR Institute, KVK, as well as the State Department of Agriculture, as well as the private sector also. I think they should be very proactively involved in development of this particular document, so that a holistic ideas they come in this document, and that should be a landmark document. With these words, I once again thank to the organizers as well as the chairman sir for coming. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Yadav. You have very comprehensively covered all aspects of the millet, and happy to hear that you have been able to release 182 varieties, and the yield potential has gone up by a factor of 4, from 1 ton to 3.5 to 4 tons.
Amazing.
So that's really amazing, and if that's where it's also proved through the frontline demonstrations of KVKs,
Yes.
yeah, then it's a great thing, and NFSM I'm sure will be able to push these things further, particularly in districts where there is greater scope as a low-hanging fruit. That's wonderful, good news. So let's just focus on those things then, really, Okay, so what we'll do is now that we have come to the last but one item of the agenda today, after the 4 speakers have shared their thoughts on the millets and the various aspects of it, we have had a very clear understanding. So now we will throw open the discussions to the House. It is discussion of the state governments. I presume the state governments are here, and could be some state governments are on the YouTube. So for the discussion to be enabled, those of you who are here can directly seek clarification or share your observation. But those who are on the YouTube may like to come on to the chat box. So is there a way that we can look at the chat box and pick up those questions? Yeah. So what I would appeal is that those of you who are not here physically may kindly punch in your observations and questions onto the chat box, and we'll pick them up and answer those things. Okay, so now let us start off. Those are here. Madam Nandini, you can start. You can start from Karnataka.
So, sir, coming to the Karnataka, it's a well said. We have about 180 lakh hectares is the cultivable area, out of which nearly 20.51 lakh hectare goes for millets and minor millets.
Okay.
So, being Jawar, Ragi and Bajra occupies the major portion. It's about nearly 17 to 18 lakh, and minor millets 0.48 lakh hectares. So my concern is that the Jawar, Ragi and Bajra is covered under MSP. The problem, farmers who are growing the crops, no problem for them. So they will be covered under MSP. But about the minor millets like Bajra,
Kodo and all.
Foxtail, little millet, Kodo millet, Proso millet, brown top little millet, they are not getting any benefit. They are not covered under MSP. So is it possible to cover these crops under MSP per year? That's my concern, sir.
Somebody is noting down these things, no? I hope, the proceedings of the day.
Sir, we are recording everything.
Oh, recording. Yeah. This is an important issue because that has to be raised to the department.
We have to do work on this.
Okay.
So Niti Aayog and World Food Program has really done a good job, sir. Because we are discussing on age-old crops. By realizing the importance of it, now we started developing.
Yes.
So because of the mainly health benefits. So we call it as nutri-cereals. There are so many health benefits are there, sir. So coming to some of the strategies, what I would like to say is, coming to the supply side, sir, as our sir said, Yadav, nearly 182 high-yielding varieties and hybrids have been developed. But sir, to our surprise, it's not at all in the field, sir.
Seed chain, they are not got into the seed chain. So that has been brought up.
Has to come as early as possible.
Yeah.
Then about the nutritional aspects, we have to create a lot of awareness program among the consumers, like trade fairs, international trade fairs, national trade fairs, such things are required. Of course, we are doing it. Karnataka already we have done 2 international trade fairs on organics and millets, as well as 1 national trade fair we have done it. So, nearly some 10 lakh people have participated in the B2B programs, consumer and awareness program, and also exhibitions were conducted. So nearly 10 lakh people participated during the event during 2019. Sir. So my request is also coming to the introduction of millets in the public distribution system has to be taken place, as well as in the midday meal. Then processing, as already it was discussed. So now Karnataka, what we have done, sir, the University of Agriculture Sciences, Raichur, has submitted a proposal for establishment of millet value chain park in Raichur, in association with NABARD and US Raichur, with a budget of 108 crores. I don't know how it will take place.
Yeah.
We submitted.
Yes.
Sir, for the information to Chair, Madam, we are basically this program is organized by the agriculture and light sector vertical, but we are having officers from the women and child development and health vertical also. So they are taking care of Anganwadi, PDS and everything.
Okay.
So they are there.
Yeah,
so
that's
whatever we will not going to cover, they will take care.
Okay.
So this is
so in Karnataka,
in-house.
as I said, being the International Year of Millets for 2023, as a pre-event, we are organizing international trade fairs, sir.
Yes,
In Bangalore, 18th and 20th November 2020.
This year, no?
This year.
Yeah, I think that connection,
Yes.
what we can do is, since now we're looking at IIMR as the global center of excellence, and in order to link up with Asia and Africa, already Bangalore has got its, niche as a international center for organic as well as millets.
Millets.
So whether this could be popularized as a global center for promoting,
Yes.
millets as a part of our initiative.
This part
So,
of our
yeah, we
this
can,
could be
yeah,
we will add it.
because they already have done it year after year. Only Corona time they didn't do it.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so that can be
So
taken.
dates finalized, sir. Venue
Yeah,
is also
okay.
finalized.
Yeah, now what we should do, that whether the Niti Aayog, Ministry of Agriculture and WFP can be partners along with you. It is a purely Government of Karnataka initiative to now mainstream that into the global initiative of 2023. Kindly examine that. Okay, maybe we can also write that we can be part of that
Yes, sir.
initiative
Sir,
of the
sir,
Karnataka government.
Sir, we are having that linkage program initiatives here.
Yeah.
So we can have them with us.
Yes.
Then we can promote our center worldwide.
Yeah.
With international center.
Yeah, so we become partners
Partner,
with them.
yeah.
Right now, because the preparations have begun now. So right now we write to the government of Karnataka and say that we will be part of this initiative. So
Excellent.
it becomes a proper global initiative, we'll get better response also. Yeah,
Thanks.
we can think of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Sir, we have also helping farmers like those who cultivate this one millets. We are giving them some incentive to the
Yeah.
tune of 10,000 rupees sir, per hectare.
Per hectare.
Per hectare, it's a DBT mode. We are encouraging.
Is it given before production or after production?
After production, sir.
After production, irrespective of the yield.
Irrespective of yield, sir. Because since
Acha.
he has taken up in his area, in his
Acha.
field,
Uh,
so yield is not the criteria,
Good,
sir.
good.
About the area expansion is the criteria
Okay.
for us, sir.
Has there been a response to that
Yes, sir,
initiative?
yes, sir. From inception, 78,309 farmers are covered. And the expenditure, the incentive is 59.76 crores.
Good, good.
That is the initiative we have taken up, sir.
Yeah,
Also,
we need to study some of these initiatives, It will
In
be one of
fact,
the best practice
Yes, sir,
actually.
this is the part of the best practice. In
Yeah.
fact, we can replicate this in the
Yeah.
other parts of the best.
Yeah, only thing if we are able to correlate
Yes.
the incentive paid and the area expansion.
Sorry, I need to have an idea. Thank you very much.
So if we are able to correlate the two, then this can come as an incentive. So if you can kindly show us that, and how do you correlate that? One is whether the same farmer, because he got incentive, also sustained that in the subsequent season. He grew this year, he got 10,000 rupees.
No, next year he will not give. Because if
No,
they
no,
demand
I'm not
that.
saying he should be given money, but whether he is cultivating it next year.
Continue.
So that I'm saying you
Some
collect
of the-
that data.
Some of the districts are continuously cultivating and the area is increasing, sir.
Good. If you can give that itself as a best practice.
Sir, this is one of the like sir told about Haryana that the Bhavantar scheme.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
Bhavantar
yeah.
and this. So if they
Yeah.
can give us, then we
Exactly.
can.
Let us look at all this.
Like how the area is increasing is in 2016-17 it was 0.21 lakh hectare. Now in 2021 it is 0.48 lakh hectare.
Oh, very good.
And the production also has increased. The production during 16-17 was 0.07 lakh tons. Now it is 0.29 minor tons.
Understood.
Minor.
No, you kindly give this data. I mean, you can actually come under this under the best practice. How is the production linked incentive, like Ministry of Food Processing is giving PLI.
Sir, we are giving
For millets?
for 11 programs.
Yeah.
We are having PLI for 11 programs.
So this is also
Sir, but sir, there is the
State initiative.
whether because of 10,000 or we are having increase in MSP manifold.
Yeah, it could
That
be
is
many
also
factors.
we have to yes.
Many factors.
So
it
we
could be.
have to see how is the impact of this 10,000 and because of MSP. Then only we can recommend to scale up it.
Yeah, I think what they can do, they can ask one of
MSP is
the.
not, whatever
No.
I said, it's
No.
not covered under MSP. It's
Okay.
a minor millets, sir.
Yeah, the minor.
Yeah,
millets.
Minor
MSP
millets.
for
Okay.
minor millets.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you can ask one of the universities to undertake a study, because ragi, for example, in Karnataka, you are also procurer,
Yeah, that is the MSP.
and you are giving them also incentive of 10,000.
No, sir.
No, it's only for minor millets.
Only minor millets,
Ah, okay, then
Only
fine.
minor millets.
Yeah, okay.
Very
I
good,
think
sir.
that is actually a real
Yeah.
candidate.
But it's a very good initiative. Minor millets are giving.
Yeah.
Good.
It's not ragi, sir.
I think
And
for-
that too it is only
For
crop
minor
survey.
millets, there are very less number of, success stories. So I think this is like
Yeah, excellent.
one
Yeah,
real
we must
good
really,
initiative.
we must appreciate what Karnataka is doing. Yeah.
Crop survey app,
survey.
it is monitored, sir. The
Yeah,
crop
yeah.
is monitored through crop
Yeah.
survey.
So now you have got more accurate,
accurate.
reliable data. Yeah, good.
The-
It is good, sir.
Yeah, because they have got the software now, no? Unlike in other states.
Yeah, they are having this here.
Yeah, the crop survey application is there. So they are
Data-
getting Shobha more accurate data.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, sir, Shobha madam has given one program, sir,
Huh.
in Davanagere district, sir,
Huh.
under ODOP.
Okay.
So we have drawn the action plan for that, for promotion of millets. It is under consideration, sir.
Okay.
Then,
Good. These are good initiatives, but you should now further sustain that. Yeah.
but processing, grading, value addition, packing, branding, this has to be addressed, sir, properly. For that also, we are giving 50% assistance, maximum
Yeah.
10 lakhs.
See, now that
It
Davanagere,
can also increase.
if Davanagere has been covered into ODOP, you should use that opportunity to build a very robust value chain, and all the missing gaps can be bridged under this initiative. Because under this initiative, you will get money under the Ministry of Food Processing Industries,
Yes, food
you will
processing.
get under the AIF, and of course, other schemes that are there. No, you please do one thing. See, I have seen, I'll tell you, what you need to do is get somebody to conduct a survey. What is the value chain required there? What are the things available? What are missing? Right? They'll, let us say agri-logistics. Is it there or not there? Primary processing facilities, is it there or not there? So you establish a proper value chain, value system for that entire district. So that itself will become your center of excellence. And then in Bangalore US campus, you already have a very good processing facility, right? They have a center of excellence there. So you should be able to link up that US Bangalore with Davangere and then give it a trigger. Yeah. Good. So we go to the next one.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, very much. Okay. Other states, please. Who else is here?
Sir,
Any-
we are having from Madhya Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh,
Then
Sikkim.
listen to them, no?
Yeah, they are there only.
Yeah. Madhya Pradesh.
Sikkim.
Yeah, please come, ma'am. Yeah.
My question is, when we speak to farmers, they are like, we won't go for production of cultivation of millets because they are not getting the price as compared to wheat, rice, and soybean in Madhya Pradesh context.
Okay.
And secondly, the production is also less of millet as compared to wheat or rice.
Correct.
No? That's why my concern is like if we increase the price, when we speak to farmers, they are like if we get the price hikes, it has good. If we get the good price for cultivating the millets, then we can go for cultivation of millets. But the thing is कि अगर हम price increase करते हैं, so it will again be like food for elite,
Yeah.
not for the.
Correct.
We can't go for this the food and nutritional security.
Yeah.
So there are two different parameters. So I want to know for which one to go, or is there a middle path?
Yeah. See, you know the problem, you also have the solution, right? So you are right.
The
See,
solutions are different.
yeah, no. Now solutions are, see, one is both. I think in the other session we were talking about, we need to focus on both. One is increasing the productivity as well as giving them a good price. Now, how do you increase productivity? A farmer will be able to increase productivity provided he's using a right technology, right? And that costs money. In a sense, technology, the simplest technology, most important is to buy a certified seed. That will cost him money, right? So why will he buy? He will buy it provided he also knows that there is some kind of an assured marketing for him. So you need to balance both. All right. So as far as productivity is concerned, you should remember that there are two approaches. One is to improve the agronomic practices. That means the same seed you are using, but there is a greater focus on agronomic practices. That means your extension officers go and teach them all the agronomic practices right from preparing the land, time of sowing, the method of sowing, management of pests, this is everything. That agronomic practice itself will give you a yield effect of at least 25 to 30% without any change in the technology. And then you add it to the good technology, you will still get a better yield, right? So you please ask your people, you focus in the particular districts where there is a potential, okay, and focus on yield. Certainly you should focus on productivity and whatever other marketing incentives. The MSP has already increased. If you see the last 4 years, particularly since 2018, millets and pulses and oilseeds have benefited from increasing the MSP. But what is more important is whether you can take up some procurement like Odisha, Karnataka or Haryana are doing. If you can introduce that procurement, at least for one major crop to begin with, like under this whole initiative we want at every state to take up one crop as a showpiece, right? So whatever is good for your state, all right, you focus on that and see whether you can give some kind of a procurement incentive, link it up with the ICDS, midday meal scheme, public distribution system. So you will have to focus on both yield and price, all right? So you do that thing. Is it okay? And then now that we have Dr. Yadav Sahab was telling that new seeds and varieties are there, which will give us a major jump. I mean, if we can achieve, as they say under the demonstration, they have got nearly 3.5 to 4 tons. If we can achieve even 1.5 to 2 tons is a big jump. Let's all just focus on that. Today average is 1.1. Okay, and that means most states should be around 0.7, 0.8, etc. If we can reach 1.5 tons average, we would have done a miracle over the next 3 or 4 years. So we should just, I think, aim at that to achieve at least 1.5 ton average over the next 3 years using these seeds.
Yes, sir.
And if now Shubha can actually help us to get this into the seed chain, that will be the biggest, I think, contribution to this whole thing. Yeah. So we'll do that. Okay. All right. Yeah.
Do we have hybrid seeds for these minor millets like kodo?
No, not hybrid, high yielding varieties.
High-yielding varieties.
Yeah. High yielding variety is enough to begin with. Okay? Yeah. Next state, please. So Madhya Pradesh is a state which has done very well in agriculture in the last 10 years. You have been a model. So for millets also, kindly show that you are a leader. Okay? Yeah. Next.
Sir, Uttar Pradesh we are aware.
Uttar Pradesh, please.
सर पहले अपने आप को इंट्रोड्यूस कर दीजिए फॉर द बेनिफिट ऑफ द चेयरमैन।
सर मैं डॉक्टर अमरनाथ मिश्रा हूँ और संयुक्त कृषि निदेशक मेरठ मंडल में हूँ इस समय। मैं अपने प्रदेश के बारे में थोड़ी सी बात बताना चाहूँगा सर। हम लोग बाजरा में 19 जनपद में हम लोग अपना क्षेत्रफल बढ़ा रहे हैं इसमें, और ख़ास तौर से हमारा 9 लाख हेक्टेयर से अधिक क्षेत्रफल है। लेकिन सर यहाँ पर दिक्कत मेरे साथ ये है कि यहाँ किसान मिनिमम सपोर्ट प्राइस पर अपना चाहते हैं कि हमारा ये बिक जाए, लेकिन अभी हम लोग वो फैसिलिटीज उनको प्रोवाइड नहीं कर पाते। तो अगर यहाँ से या वहाँ से जैसा भी संभव हो, अगर बाजरा की मिनिमम सपोर्ट प्राइस पर अगर खरीदारी शुरू हो जाए तो हमारे यहाँ इस बाजरा का काफ़ी क्षेत्रफल बढ़ सकता है। दूसरी बात सर, जो डॉक्टर यादव सर ने बताई थी अभी कि बहुत सारी वेराइटीज़ हैं, तो मेरा सर उनसे केवल अनुरोध यह है कि जो हमारे ये 19 डिस्ट्रिक्ट हैं, इनमें बाजरा की जो भी अच्छी वेराइटीज़ हों, वो सर KVK पर एज ए डेमोन्स्ट्रेशन लगवा दी। तो जो भी हमारे फार्मर्स विजिट करते हैं या जो ट्रेनिंग होती है या जो हमारे हम हो जाते हैं, टूर्स जाते हैं, तो एटलीस्ट सर वो पॉपुलर तो हो जाए। तो दूसरा मेरा पॉइंट सर ये है। तीसरी बात सर मेरी ये है कि हमारे यहाँ केवल एक सोनभद्र जनपद है जहाँ पर हम केवल सामा और कोदों की केवल फसल करते हैं। तो अगर सामा कोदों में जो कोई अच्छी वेराइटीज हो तो वहाँ पर भी।
वेरी गुड।
मेरे केवल सर 3 पॉइंट्स हैं जिन पर अगर जो भी निर्णय लेना चाहेंगे।
नहीं, अच्छा पॉइंट आपने, तो वेरी प्रैक्टिकल पॉइंट्स आपने यहाँ ब्रॉट इट और नोटिस रिगार्डिंग ये प्रोक्योरमेंट जो है ना, FCI विच इज़ इन चार्ज ऑफ मिलेट्स, उन्होंने ऑलरेडी क्लैरिफिकेशन दे दिया है सब स्टेट्स को। आपको खुद प्रोक्योरमेंट करना पड़ेगा। दे विल सपोर्ट, FCI सपोर्टिंग प्रोक्योरमेंट ऑफ मिलेट्स विच ऑलरेडी कर्नाटका एंड उड़ीसा कर रहे हैं, तो आप भी कर सकते हैं। वो फाइनेंशियल सपोर्ट आपको मिलेगा। खाली एक कंडीशन है, जो आप प्रोक्योर करेंगे वो FCI पिकअप नहीं करेगा, आपको यूटिलाइज करना पड़ेगा। तो आपका मिड डे मील हो या PDS में अगर यूज कर सकेंगे।
सर हमारे इनिशिएशन लिया है डिस्ट्रिक्ट रामपुर में, हमारे डिस्ट्रिक्ट मजिस्ट्रेट थे, तो उन्होंने जो है आंगनबाड़ी केंद्रों पर उन्होंने इसका सबका यूज कराना शुरू कराया है।
एक्सीलेंट। तो इसी को आप रेप्लिकेट कर दीजिए। आपके जो कह रहे थे 19 डिस्ट्रिक्ट में बाजरा कल्टिवेशन होता है, अगर 19 डिस्ट्रिक्ट में आपका जितना प्रोक्योरमेंट होगा वो ICDS में यूटिलाइज होना शुरू होगा। जैसे उड़ीसा में ICDS से शुरू हो गया, ठीक है, तो ICDS हो या कर्नाटक में PDS में इंक्लूड कर दिया उन्होंने, तो क्या होगा, वीट के बदले या राइस के बदले आपको बाजरा दे रहे हैं आप, राइट।
एक सब पॉइंट और है ये जो कि
नहीं, तो पहले ये पॉइंट तो आप ये स्टेट इंफॉर्मेशन आपके सेक्रेटरी साहब के पास ले लीजिए, ओके। आपके तो ACS एग्रीकल्चर तो हमारे साथ ही थे, वो सब जानते हैं वो तो एडिशनल सेक्रेटरी थे हमारे मंत्रालय में, तो वो सब जानते हैं। तो आप उनसे हमारे तरफ से अनुरोध करिए, ठीक है। मैं भी कहूँगा उनको। तो आप, क्योंकि उत्तर प्रदेश में भी बहुत सारे रेडिकल ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन हो रहा है, तो आप इसको थोड़ा शामिल कर दीजिए। यूपी में होगा, मैं समझता हूँ बहुत सारे स्टेट के लिए एक मॉडल बन जाएगा, ठीक है। और ये जो सीट्स चाहिए ना, वो तो डॉक्टर यादव साहब ने नोट डाउन किए हैं, विद सपोर्ट ऑफ DSC यू विल बी एबल टू। हाँ, और क्या था आपने? एक
सर लास्ट ये है कि जो नई जनरेशन है वो जो मिलेट्स का कैसे उनको तैयार करें, क्या करें, उस पर भी सर फोकस करने की जरूरत है। घर में लोगों को पता ही नहीं है कि रोटी कैसे बनाई जाती है मिलेट्स।
करेक्ट। नो, वो तो हमारे जॉइंट सेक्रेटरी मैडम ने कहा, कितने सारे उन्होंने
जनरेशन बिल्कुल नहीं जानती है कि कैसे बनाया जाता है।
करेक्ट।
तो ये भी एक मतलब इनको ट्रेनिंग देने की जरूरत है।
हाँ, उसके लिए तो बहुत सारे तैयारी कर चुका है, करा किया जाएगा। ओके, नेक्स्ट।
IMR has developed a
No, I mean the department has already planned for large number of activities to capacity build, so that will be taken care of. See, if state government start partnering in this, it will happen. There is no doubt about it. You see, Odisha and Karnataka have already shown. Haryana has shown. Now, if UP, Madhya Pradesh, and others start showing, I'm sure it will start catching up. Okay? Yeah. Next state will be there.
Sir, Sikkim.
Sikkim.
Sir,
Yeah, please.
Sir, I just like to say that in the context of Sikkim, sir, actually the dietary habit of people is such that most of the millet that we produce, sir, is converted into beverage. So
Beverage you make?
Yes, beverage.
Okay.
Produce chang, sir. You've heard of the chang?
Yeah, I know.
Yes, sir. So most of around 50% is like we use it for production of beverage, which is a chang, sir, which is drunk, and spent waste.
Okay.
Yeah, out of production of this beverage, that is fed to the pigs. And it's supposed to be considered to be very nutritious for the pigs.
Good.
And the rest of it's like also like we're using it for production of other items.
Yeah.
Like millet items like
Yeah.
roti.
But now to increase the production, what do we do?
Yes, sir.
Whether Sikkim, see, you are already a leader in organic.
Right, sir.
So what steps can you take to promote millets as a part of that organic movement?
Yes, sir. The best part is that most of whatever liquid we are producing, which is around 2,366 metric tons, 2019 to 18, that's all organic, sir. Free from, chemicals, pesticides and fertilizers. So like synthetic chemicals.
Yeah, but have you been able to brand all these millets,
yes, sir,
organically grown millets?
No, sir, we have not.
No, so do that. I think the best thing that you can do is,
Whatever little we're doing.
no, yeah, just listen. So since you're already doing organic and your millets are also being grown under organic condition, if you can actually brand them, right, then the farmers will fetch a higher price, a premium price. That itself is a good incentive for them, right? So kindly do this thing to begin with. You can start with this thing, okay?
And
That is good.
well, under PKBY also we are doing some
Yeah.
projects on this.
Yeah. But you have a lot of minor millets in Sikkim.
Yes, kodo millets.
Yes, exactly. So you take the seeds, you need that seeds from, what Dr. Yadav Sahab was telling. So those of you who are focusing on minor millets, you please take good seeds. Okay, so I think we can, Shubha, we can actually collect what would be the demand for seeds, these minor millets in particular. So at least we can start integrate them into the seed chain and make that much of seed available to the state governments. So you can start giving your demand. All the state governments who are listening here, please send your demand to the Joint Secretary Crop Division of our department, so that we'll be actually able to prepare the seeds. Maybe at least for next year we'll be able
Next
to.
year,
Not
yes.
now,
And
but
we
next
have to
year.
make the 5-year plans.
5 years.
Yeah.
That we have to make 5 years.
Foundation certified.
Yeah, we'll have to make all that, so we can take care of that.
We've already
Okay.
made for the other crops. But
Yeah.
it's-
Yes. Okay, good.
Since the noodles is very popular there,
Yeah.
one person also was producing millet noodles recently. He was just experimenting.
Understood.
Millet noodles.
Okay. Thank you. So I think you can focus on this actually millets. Okay, ma'am. Okay. Next, please. Any other state here?
दिल्ली आप बोलना चाहते हैं दिल्ली
दिल्ली
दिल्ली में ले लीजिए।
आपका तो 25,000 हेक्टेयर है ना जमीन, हाँ, तो 25,000 में कितना millets का?
नहीं सर कंजम्पशन में ले सकते हैं ना, इनको क्या जरूरत है बिकॉज वी आर एडजस्टिंग टोटल वैल्यू चेन।
I agree.
तो कंजम्पशन में इनको क्या चाहिए, हरियाणा से ले लें, पंजाब से ले लें, कम से कम हरियाणा
You're
का आ
right.
जाए।
You're right. Very nice. I did just it.
No, sir, the minister had written to all the chief ministers. We got a reply from Delhi that they will showcase millets in all the,
Okay.
they'll showcase
Showcase
millets.
in
they'll,
exhibitions.
They'll
Yeah.
sell millets and in different centers.
Yeah.
From the LG we got a reply recently.
Excellent. Senior, see, for example,
Bobby to
no,
Millet.
Bangalore has emerged as a hub for these things. They have large number of outlets now. So Delhi should become the hub for North India. No? Delhi can become the hub for North India, and in Delhi larger number of exposures and exhibitions are conducted. So I think Delhi can be actually the hinterland for consumption.
Yes,
Huh? So let us focus. I think we should really focus something specially for Delhi.
दिल्ली फॉर कंजम्पशन
For consumption. Yeah.
Sir, the Acker has a very good idea.
Yeah,
Millet
that-
experience center.
Okay.
Like-
Yeah, correct. Experience center.
Experience center, sir, because many of the people over the north, they're not familiar, even the dignitaries, International Year of Millets. I think that should be a showcasing of all these millets on various fronts, whether it's a history, culture, then a store, a physical store and a cafe, and all these things. We just designed one some common format.
Yeah, you're right.
Working with my DG.
Yeah, good. See, for example, house caste, there is that village. This one is there, ना? क्या है आपका वो? House caste में village है ना? No, cottage, वो सब exhibition center है ना? Anyway, there is an exhibition center for all these small scale industries. वो होता है. Suppose, as Dr. Dacker is saying, सब हमारे जितने embassies है, उनके लिए एक experience lunch है, experience dinner हम देंगे, नहीं? That itself is the best way to create awareness about these things. So now we have got 3 centers. IIMR Hyderabad as the global center for post-production. Bangalore as the global center for general creating awareness. And Delhi as a global experience center of, millets. So now 3 hubs we have got. Let's see more hubs we can create. But this can be really good. And all
Yes, sir.
the Delhi, Hyderabad, Bangalore. these three can be our global centers for. So you आप थोड़ा इस पर ध्यान दे दीजिए. Okay, next, good. Next one. You are the growth engine. Delhi is a growth engine for all of us. So you have to do it. Okay, next.
There is a suggestion by Dr. K. Vivedi, who is a senior scientist and head KVK in Bihar. He writes that may I suggest partial addition of millets in all wheat-based products and also in wheat flour in our country to boost the consumption and production, as we have done with ethanol and petrol.
Okay.
It will support a better demand and economical return to farmers as well as the expansion.
Good suggestion. It's a multi-grain approach primarily.
Blending.
But it's very good. I think a good suggestion. So blending. So we can suggest for blending.
Blending.
Yeah. Blending. Yeah. As rightly, he has drawn a
like
similarity
like we are doing methanol and ethanol.
Yeah. Good suggestion. Yeah.
Thank you so much. So there is Mr. Noor Rahman from Ministry of External Affairs. He wants to know, he's first of all appreciating the initiative, and he wants to know about the export potential of minor millets. EPIDA does not have any data on export and import of minor millets individually. There should be inclusion of them if we are focusing on mainstreaming minor millets.
Okay.
That is for our.
But talking about database, okay, we'll have to build a database, we'll do that. Yeah.
There is a problem, sir. Actually, there are no HS codes. Codes are not there. That's the reason mostly it is booked major millets.
So this is for our policy side.
Policy side.
Now that particular devising HS codes is one of the major issues. It has been now put up to Ministry of
So sir, this is from our policy side. We have not generated any HS code for the minor millets. So all 6 codes should be there. Then only we can able to maintain.
Yeah. So let us do.
Later we will.
The proposal is with Commerce Ministry, sir. I think very soon we may get it.
Good.
Okay. Then we will pursue with.
Yeah. So you can, reply saying that we will generate an HS code and then we'll be able to actually focus on that. Okay. Good. Yeah.
So there's another submission by Haryana. They're saying that in Haryana, government is supporting more to pulses and oilseeds by providing incentive of rupees 7,000 per acre, thereby resulting in disfavor of bajra crop. So, however, one side it is celebrating International Year of Millets. Haryana has the maximum productivity of more than 2 tons per hectare. Support farmers by market only.
Yeah. I think, see, the point that actually comes out of this is millets, pulses and oilseeds.
Yeah, they are
all one basket.
One basket. Yes.
So trying to do one good thing, we should not be doing disservice to another. So I think Haryana government we can advise that means, see, not only for Haryana, this is for every state now, where all the states where it is also tropical and subtropical climate, where pulses, oilseeds and millets will be grown. We need to look at incentives as a package.
True.
Otherwise, you will have a situation like this, that one good substitutes another good. It is like a bad inflation. Okay? So, this is, I think, good learning. I think we can keep this as in our mind.
Yes, sir.
As a policy advocacy.
Yes, sir, policy advocacy.
Yeah.
We have to make, because in some other meeting we are advocating self-sufficiency in oilseed and pulses.
Yeah, then forget it. Yeah. It will be all a partial approach. It's a very good, this one point has come out. Let us keep this as a policy advocacy for all the state governments.
There is also another experience shared by Haryana that Haryana has implemented Bajra Bhavantar Varpai Yojana during 2021 and distributed 437 crore to 2.41 lakh Bajra grower farmers.
Where? Haryana. Oh, that means they have also taken care of Bajra. Anyway, good. Anyway, we have a learning from that we should be focusing on all the deficit crops as a package, and all the 3 of them more or less require similar support.
Yes,
yeah. Okay. Next.
Somebody from KVK Satna wants to get information about weedicides for kodo millet and finger millet.
Okay. That.
यादव सर के यहाँ से चला जाएगा हम लिख.
Okay, that will be. We will note it down. It is a very specific answer. So package of practice will have to be communicated. But he is a scientist from KVK, right? He should be giving us the answer.
Anyway. नहीं पता होगा वो चला जाएगा.
Just a joke, okay, joke, We will, Yadav sir will take it down and
will
Yeah. That's all. Yeah. All right, so we are done with this, right? All right, so thank you so much, friends. I think we have had a very good open house discussion. And see, honestly, I think what you did is very good.
Yes, very good.
So
sir.
many positive thoughts have come,
Yes.
which we would never have thought of actually. So we thank all the state governments for the interest that you are evincing in promoting millets. But the short point and the good learning from this is that our three sets of crops, millets, pulses and oil seeds, all the three are grown under similar and endowment region. All three are suffering from deficiency. All three require similar support. So I think whatever policies you're going to drop, do ensure that you are not creating an adversarial relationship between one and the other. Okay, so that's the short point. So all other things we would have taken down here.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. So thank you very much, Dr. Neelam, for creating this platform for everybody to come together.
Thank you, sir. Before Saloni proposed farmer Loratang, sir, I would like to thank you,
Yeah,
Yadav,
but
sir, for sparing 3 hours here and addressing each and every issue, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank
Yes,
you. Yeah, and then I would add to that 3 ladies have to lead this moment. Dr. Shubha, yourself, and here we have got Prajna,
Yeah.
All 3 ladies have to lead this moment, and supported here Dr. Saloni, yourself, as a young professional.
Yes.
Okay, so thank you very much and very kind of you.
And sir, one more information. Since 2018 in Niti Aayog, as a policy, we are consuming only millets in all our meetings. So whatever you have taken, these are millet based, and all our internal meetings here, only millets are allowed, no other things.
Oh, yes, very nice.
So this is as a policy. So I think other organizations, so all other organizations also can take the similar view.
Exactly. Yeah. You are also doing it. I know.
Products are available commercially.
Yes, these are available. These are available. These are that I can share with you because this is from my from admin. I will share everything. But
Products are really good.
Thank you so much.
For any meeting.
oh, you can come anytime. Otherwise, also these are available for us.
Very tasty, very nicely done.
Very-
They are
So
very
this is
tasty.
since 2018,
Oh.
our CEO has
Okay.
taken decision
Yeah.
for all, even our internal meeting also. We are taking only this one.
And they are very good.
Yes.
Lots of meetings there.
सब के लिए सर अंदर भी हमारे खाने के लिए भी जाता है
Wonderful.
Yes. चलो नीरा
Good evening, everyone. As we conclude the workshop, I would like to thank all the distinguished experts and esteemed guests who have joined us in person, taking out their valuable time, as well as the ones who have joined us virtually. There are a lot of valuable outputs from this workshop, especially the inline departments, whether it was from Mr. Dr. D.K. Yadava or knowing about whatever initiatives the Ministry of Agriculture has been taking from all that we learned from Srimati Shubha Thakurji, and as well as the various victorious experiences shared by the states and whatever support they needed from in the inline departments. I look forward to cooperation of all of you in the coming times, and in case we didn't really get time to showcase how to fill this form for the states, but in case of any query, please feel free to reach out to me as well as Mr. Pranay Sinha from World Food Program. We are always there to assist you in case you feel any any hindrance in filling up the form. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining.
Thanks.